Your life became sweet 何をしてても daydreaming yeah 君のことば繰り返し寝ても覚めてもやまないそっけない君の笑顔が恋しくて星に願うのまた会えるよね
Welcome all to the dramatic, long journey that we've had here at the Sato.gg Path2Pro Combine. I have confirmation, folks, that this is our very last look at all these lovely up-and-coming NA talents, and I'm happy to be beside one of the up-and-coming NA talents when it comes to broadcasting, in my mind. It's Ferris. Ferris is joining me besides for this last set of games, and we are jumping right into the draft, Ferris, but you want to tell me about some of these fun matchups we're going to see, some of these fun players on both sides for our final block of 3?
Oh, a lot of these players have been getting a ton of reps in the last week. We've cut down the players. Last 5 are being selected to go to the LA boot camp. So we've seen a lot of reoccurring faces here. If I could just actually, well, I need to get confirmation on which side is which, but we've seen Team Crimson, who is Crimson, Kryra, Utter, Scary Jerry, and Kim Down. They played yesterday, so it's the exact same team. They might be feeling like they have a little bit of extra synergy buff here with the picks. Ivern has gone over, whether it's Kryra or Will, both of them really like the Ivern. I think Ivern is actually like the most OP jungle in the game right now. Even we saw yesterday a Ivern do more damage than an Ezreal. It was like 31,000 damage on an Ivern. It was just ridiculous here. And then response, unique pick in the Yone, that's not in the pool that these players are drafting from, and then the Sejuani to kind of pair it up with a Smolder counter coming through as well.
Yeah, so if you've been following along, like Ferris kind of alluded to, we have champion pools that they're supposed to be pulling from, but then both of these teams get unique selections that they can pull out. I believe yesterday it was 1 champion, now today it becomes 2, so you can start to get an idea as these drafts evolve. Rumble going to be locked in for the blue side. I don't know. We still.
I think it's Crimson side. I'm just looking at the graphic here. I think blue side might just be. I could be wrong though. We'll figure it out eventually.
We'll figure it out. For now, you know what, Ferris? Actually, I'll go on a limb here. Crimson is a big Rumble player.
He is.
Oh crap! Actually, Dr. Calculus is a huge Rumble player too. Oh, okay. You know what? I'll go on a limb. I think this is Team Crimson on the Rumble, and then Dr. Calculus would be playing a Cassante game in response. Both those champions are in the allotted champion pools being given across these last couple of blocks. So top laners sticking into the pools. I don't think we've seen anything flexed just yet outside of that Yone, which is very intriguing that we're going to see that potentially from 5 Mini, because I am very familiar with Utter as a Yone player. He does like those mid lane melee champions, but he has been playing a bit more Smolder. That's the nature of this Combine. You know, you get to express your pool a bit more, and he'll really understand the matchup Smolder into Yone, because like I said, he's definitely played the other side of that matchup in other places like ACL, for example.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one here. The Ashe ban, I mean, both sides, Sushi and Scary Jerry. I'm really excited for this bot lane matchup. I think Ashe paired with Ziggs, so I think it makes sense here that red side team is locking in Ziggs once Ashe is banned. I think these two are probably the most powerful bot laners on the patch. Scary Jerry has been a monster. Honestly, so has Sushi. It feels like every time I say this player's been a monster on this champ, I think about the way Sushi played Ashe yesterday. The guy was an absolute beast. So again, it's still a little bit of a mystery to us, but the Ziggs rolling through makes sense. You got double AD top side and mid. You got the Sejuani to pair up with those melees quite nicely. The Ezreal lock in here might lead me to believe that it is Scary Jerry piloting that one. He's had a pretty good Ezreal. They got the double marksman with the Ivern, so that's pretty nice. They're going to be playing more of a really relaxed style. Let's play for Mystic Shots. Let's play for Smolder scaling. Once 225 rolls through, then we can get that all rolling on nicely with the Equalizer range as well.
Certainly. Ferris, I'm starting to wonder if it's still actually one unique champion. Because, or maybe it's two. I don't know the rules. All I'm telling you, I guess the rules are a little bit flexible, but Team Crimson have actually locked in a composition that is completely in line with all the allotted champion pools. The Leona rounds it out at support. That is also a champion that was on the list that was given to us, alongside with the Rakan and Rel both being hovered here by Zyko. He's just two champions that he's been very, very impactful with at so many different levels. So we'll see which one he goes with. I definitely am a bit more favored towards the Rel, especially alongside such a tanky front line with the Ziggs behind. Definitely feels like two comps that have two very different ideologies. You've got the double marksman composition coming together with a big amount of shields. You've got some decent engagement with Leona, but you're definitely looking to kind of react to what team Calculus is going to be throwing your way, with a Yone going in, a Sejuani going in, a Rel going in, and then Ferris, do you feel like this red side comp really needs some big Yone power plays, some big Sejuani engages to work? Because you need something to burn through the Ivern.
You do. And later on the game goes, just the late game in general for blue side is absolutely insane. The one counterplay to that is just one shot whoever is extremely strong. Hey, the Smolder's 225 full build. It's level 18, turning into an absolute Terminator of a champion. But if we can just get that one Fate Sealed, that one Glacial Prison onto him, layer all the CC, throw the Mega Inferno Bomb on his face, then that's going to be their game plan here. If they do get picked off, though, by the catch potential of the Leona, Trigger Seed, and then all that poke rolling through Mystic Shots, Equalizer, they get a quick pick, they play the fight 5v4, they run up on you a little bit, and then red side team tries to go in, they back it up, they hit you with Mystic Shots. That's really going to be so annoying. So yes, to answer your question, they need to be able to land those key ultimates, the ultimates from Yone, Sejuani, and the Rel. Follow it up with big bursts from the Ziggs. That's their key to success.
Certainly feels like the key to success they're going to be looking for. And it's a fun conversation to have when you talk about, the evolution of some of these players in this combine, right? Because obviously we have names that when you're thinking of, all right, who are the last 5 that are going to LA? If you're talking like pedigree, names are going to stand out to you like Scary Jerry, Zyko. I think Crimson certainly on a list like that. And then you have these like younger guys who were maybe more in the tier 3 scene when they got their spotlight and then have really impressed at the combine. For me, that's certainly guys like Will has been very impressive ever since I saw him on Polestar over the summer. It's really just hasn't let up since then. Udder and Phi Mini are honestly both in that conversation of players who were on qualifier teams, maybe subbing on qualifier teams, and then now are starting to really roll with this side.gg game plan for some of these players. Is there any, who, Ferris, for you is that guy that is like most impressed you given expectations coming into this entire thing, now that we're at basically the finish line for our part of it?
I do have an eye, since I do play a lot of ADC, that's my main role. I have a knack for looking at really talented marksman players. We know Scary Jerry has that pedigree, NACL champion, been playing through the NACL. Him and Zyko have been tearing it up. But Sushi on Lotus and now on the Straw Hat crew in the Aegis Champions League there, I think played a really nice performance. At the very least yesterday, I was paying attention to how they've been doing. I know a couple other people that are part of the production team here at Path2Pro have been talking a lot about Sushi, and there's questions I've been hearing about, well, Scary Jerry seems like the favorite to go to LA, but you have to think about the potential of growth here for Sushi. If they can get there, and they've been performing very well, this could be a monumental opportunity for them. And they have one last chance in this 3 block that we have on the final day of the online coverage here to show the people making those decisions that I have what it takes to be able to really impress everyone. Give me that opportunity to go, and I won't fail you. I'll be the future of the NA ecosystem. There really is a lot on the line here, Slayer, and big implications going forward after the series is over. So my pick is Sushi, of course, Mini and Utter as well. Very talented players, but again, I think Sushi is going to be that guy for me.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I think you could use a lot of that great analysis to kind of put forward onto these junglers as well. Maybe not the super youth conversation you could have with Sushi, Utter, and Mini, but Kryra and Will are certainly still, young adjacent, maybe you want to call it. The esports age timeline to go pro is all over the place. Yeah, it's getting younger and it's getting younger and younger. Like every couple of years I see it, but Kryra and Will, obviously Kryra, pretty impressive back end on CCG, and then Will still trying to get back to that NACL. He looked so prominent at certain points, certainly looks to level up, and I think the junglers for me are the ones to really look at, especially when we talk about looking at statistics specifically. I know our awesome producer Chippy, we could throw up the graphic that you were able to make in time, barely in time. And it's my fault, by the way. I asked way too late, but Chippy is just goated. These are the stats for Will versus Kryra. The one thing I will point out, the KDA numbers, those are the first and second place leaders in this entire combine. Will at 4.7 and Kryra at 4.6 are 1 and 2. And then to elaborate a bit more on the assists per game, the highest vision per minute, those are statistics I'm sure everybody at home is very familiar with for support players. And many of the supports we've seen in this combine are leading in those statistics. But why I pulled these for Will and Kryra is after you get through the supports you expect to be leading assists per game, leading high vision scores, it is in fact Will and Kryra. So they're performing in the KDA department, mostly in the kills when they've been able to play their carry junglers. But like you kind of talked about, Vera, especially with a player like Kryra, they're also backing up their talk in the more supportive sense the jungler can play. And that's kind of, in my mind, why I think they're the last two that are fighting for the final spot to go to LA. And the statistics really back that one up.
Yeah, they've been performing really well. I think it's a big testament to their strength as players. You do know them, especially Kryra, as a carry jungle player, loves the Lilias, the Nidalees, Graves, and all of these things. Now with those picks not being maybe as strong as they could be inside of the meta, Sejuani's really good. Skarner is absolutely insane. Ivern, again, like I said earlier, probably the best jungler in the entire game right now, in my humble opinion. And they have been performing really well on those picks. And could part of the reason be why they have all those assists is because they're setting up for the squad. They're really prioritizing the vision, sacrificing maybe their clears and all the extra resources that a carry jungler might want just to be able to get that TP flank for the team, that extra bit of information that can win them a neutral objective fight, over prioritizing ganks and invades here to set up the squad for success. And I absolutely agree with your analysis. These two have been impressive along the whole combine, and even in the top side too for Crimson as well, a very young player who was actually popping off a lot yesterday on the Rumble and the Renekton too.
Those are two staple champions for Crimson as well. When you talk about his champion pool, CCG as a team in the NACL were such an interesting, kind of case study with the fact that, they had a late substitution come in. They didn't really get going a lot until the end of the split to start to show some signs. But there were, I would believe, I've seen from the community, a lot of community people I've talked to, social media forums as well, say that when it comes to CCG, the bright spots, Crimson had still a very good season for being such, another one of those younger prodigies that was gotten into the tier 2 level for the first time. And then Kryra, someone that I've been hearing tier 2 calls from guys like Hawk since 2023 summer qualifier runs. Finally getting that shot also was pretty impressive. And you got to think, especially for a guy like Kryra, we don't know it's still hard to figure out the landscape of tier 2. We're still figuring out, we're still getting bits and pieces of this landscape for tier 1 of the new Americas, Ferris. So yeah, it's hard to figure out where people are going to slot in. But Kryra's in such an interesting spot with the fact that he got a very small number of games, looked good in a good bit of them, but it becomes a question, is it enough to really get him a shot again on CCG, get him a shot somewhere else? Who really knows? All we do know is that the game is ready on Summoner's Rift, so we are going to go live to see how these players look in their final block. It's Team Crimson taking on Team Calculus to kick off Game 1. Let's head to that familiar battle arena.
Now we're on to the battle arena. Let's see what happens again. To reiterate what we're looking for with these compositions, absolutely insane scaling from Team Crimson. They got the Smolder, they got the Ivern to buff up the double 80 carries. They want to play from range. They want to try and weather the storm when it comes to the heavy engage that the other side in Team Calculus has drafted. Glacial Prison from Will to look out for. Fate Sealed is follow-up engage, maybe onto a crash down Magnet Storm from Zyko. All of these fights, these are the types of things we're looking for. And also, can Utter get to that very strong 225 point on the Smolder at a reasonable amount of time so that they're not losing too much if they do fall behind elsewhere in the mid game when it comes to objectives?
Great to track as we already have some hijinks in the level 1 escapade. Ezreal certainly very strong out the gates, and Zyko's path there might actually get him killed, or at least have to burn the flash over the wall. Not actually going to go for that as well. Thinking he might just be dead here, getting punished for his level 1 invasion. Hey, if you get every Mystic shot, you'll pick up kills, and Scary Jerry grabs a very critical first blood for one of those 2 marksmen on Team Crimson.
It's just a disaster, honestly, giving that first blood to Ezreal. This is a very impressive laner. They are going to lane swap, though, so maybe not going to utilize it in the way that they want to. But Zyko didn't really have any backup there to drop that ward inside of the brush down there. It is going to spot out Kryra here on their clear. But hey, Scary Jerry, or yeah, it is Scary Jerry. I just looked over at the teams now and the names, but Scary Jerry's Ezreal has been pretty impressive. So getting that early kill, hey, it was basically free. They didn't have to use anything, so they'll take it and they'll be happy.
I almost got confused. Like, I looked away for half a second just to make sure my notes were all set up on the side, and I was like, is Zyko getting chased in his own jungle? And I had to quickly realize it's the blue side. You know, game 1 jitters, even for us casters here. Very interesting adaptation for Crimson, who obviously got that lane swap. Certainly could have hurt him. You gotta think maybe a dive could have come across at that level 1 spot with Dr. Calculus nearby. It's been really fun, Ferris, to see how these teams have adapted to these lane swaps and tried to, you know, give them new life and new creativity. And because you gotta think, like, week 1, I was not seeing top laners trying to help out their mid lane get push. It's just how these players have been evolving after so many games and so many sessions with these coaches, teaching them new ways to approach the game.
Yeah, definitely. As Crimson, he's taken, that's very close.
Yeah, I was not expecting this much damage out of a Sejuani Will, and that will force Crimson 2 back. Is, man, we are just running all over the map. Now we got nobody on Team Calculus on the top side. The Sushi and Will have all come over, met with Zyko as they're trying to get on top of Utter. The crash down does stun him up, still able to kite back pretty well with the Ivern from Kryra nearby. And now the turn has come out. Zyko finally commits that flash. Utter follows, finds the kill on the Smolder. So 2 early kills, and both of them on those critical marksmen for Team Crimson.
It's really confusing how this all ended up happening in the mid lane. I thought it was so good that Will chunked Crimson like that because he ended up missing all of that experience that was crashed from Calculus and Sushi stacking that wave topside. But then they just get it right back onto their Smolder here with just I guess a miscommunicated engage, or maybe they just thought that they had more in the tank to be able to pull out that win in the skirmish. But Utter getting that early kill too, the scaling is accelerated right now for the side of Team Crimson, and they don't necessarily have to get too crazy. Again, they got what they need in terms of late game power. They can just relax and kind of take it easy, and these extra advantages are going to make it that much easier to transition later on.
Great point there, Ferris, because it's not like they have to try and shut down a farming jungler or a super scaling laner, maybe like the Ziggs, but like you mentioned, 2 marksmen can kind of really output and deal with what Ziggs provides in the later stages of the game. Now you feel safe in your matchups with the Yone if you're Utter, because you have that early kill, you can abuse the range, and Crimson really shouldn't be under any real threat on the rumble into the Cassante. But I may have spoken too soon, because Utter is getting uniquely ganked by Will, who sets up well for 5 minutes to find the first kill back for Team Calculus. Exactly what we needed to see after the early woes.
Absolutely. You need to get something back if you are Team Calculus. You can't just let all of these kills go the way for free. And they weren't for free. The flash was down, Utter out of mana, trying to greed for a couple more minions. Excellent punish here from Will. The kill also critically goes to 5 Mini. I've been impressed with 5 Mini's Yone, honestly. I did actually catch a couple games. One of them was where he was like 13-0 on this champion, absolutely ruining the game for the other team. So that bodes well. I like it. The Yone needs to get some things and not just get bullied out in infinite grass procs for the Smolder. So I think it's a good counterpunch here. Is now we're going to see the objectives show up, Slayer. So how these teams really assess their strength here at the 5-minute mark, we're going to see.
Strength and where their priorities are certainly going to lie. Not too much split push threat in a game like this, with both top laners certainly set up for team fighting, but maybe Team Calculus will be a bit more objective, oriented towards the grubs with a Yone available. Both these teams certainly playing towards the grubs as they spawn. Actually all 5 members of Team Calculus on this top side. Free time for Utter on the bot side, just farm up on this Smolder, so that's the trade-off for Team Calculus. First 3 grubs to give Utter solo XP time, solo gold, and solo stacking.
And that makes sense. You don't want to get roped in to a whole bunch of chaos if you are the Smolder. Now, stealing away this grub, though, would be absolutely massive for them. They're going in.
Oh, nope, Smite secured there. Will may die for his transgressions. Good flash, but Scary Jerry follows him, arcade shifts over the wall, and with Sushi out of mana, there is no way to find a turn here. It's just easy picking for Scary Jerry and Team Crimson. Zyko going to sacrifice himself. Kim down, hits the Zenith Blade over the wall, but will not follow any further. No grub steal, but it costs a lot more of a pretty penny if you're Team Calculus.
It's another kill on Scary Jerry. All the meanwhile, like you said, Utter in the bot side, getting that farm that they want. You don't want to be able to be caught up in all of these fights and miss out on that juicy stacking time. You're just sitting there on the other side of the map saying, team, go handle your business. Whatever it is, just don't lose the entire game before I get to where I need to be. And so he's from the other side of the map watching all those kills go to Scary Jerry. They're killing Zyko. He's like, oh, this is perfect. I'm loving what I'm seeing here. Maybe they can contest the 6 grubs later on, but even though they lost that objective, I think they're totally fine with what ended up transpiring.
It's such a good game state for Team Crimson. Also because Ezreal and Smolder as double marksman, such a good bridge. Ezreal, can scale decently well, but I really look at Ezreal as an AD carry that power spikes when he gets 2 items more mana completed, maybe that 3rd item if you get that Spear of Shojin route going. That's when Ezreal's most powerful in like the mid to early late game, and he can easily hand off that duty to a scaling Smolder like you're talking about, Ferris. So the fact that they're both, I mean, at minimum, pretty untouched so far in this early game, but more importantly, accelerated, bodes very, very well. And it puts a unique position, because this is a combine for Team Calculus to show how they can play from maybe a bit of a behind position. I'm definitely very much so looking towards Zyko and Will as those setup guys to try and mark Utter and Scary Jerry best they can, because that's how they're going to pull themselves back into this one.
They have to be the quarterback, like you said, and call these plays. Make sure they're getting something there, similar to the way they pulled off the gank onto Utter earlier, punishing the no flash on the Smolder. A couple more plays have to come through like that. I'm worrying for Sushi in this game as well. On Ziggs, you like a controlled game similar to a Caitlyn. You're hitting tower plates, you're swapping lanes and bullying people. It's really hard to do that when the Ezreal is this accelerated, as Utter going to be able to walk away from that one. And now they got free Drake here as well, so this is really solid for them.
Very impressed by how Team Crimson have been playing. Also love how they recognize Smolder and Ezreal are 2 AD carries with self-peel capabilities, so I love that Utter and Scary Jerry have been switching up bot to mid lane assignments, knowing either one of them can really go solo in a lane, and unless they're mispositioning, never should be in position to die, especially with both of them having flash up. Really impressed by this early game from the Team Ido, Coach Ido's side of Team Crimson.
Yeah, they got what they need. They're waiting for just item spikes to come through, slowly stacking that mana immune. Is Scary Jerry, same thing with Utter. They don't even have to, I mean, I wonder if they do the same play that they did at the previous grubs and just send Utter bot lane, try and contest lightly 4 versus 5, throw it at whatever poke you can. The pressure, we've already talked about this very much, on the side of Team Calculus, but they're going straight for it right now.
Calculus was not expecting Kryber to be on the other side of that all out. Kim down, getting heralded, but a very tanky Leona will use a lot of resources to kill. Sushi gets the first one. Mom comes across, Utter looking to mark Dr. Calculus, who is low health in the all out, but the blast code saves Dr. Calculus. Same cannot be said for the rest of the tank line. Beautiful flash from Utter to make sure the fate sealed whiffs from 5 Mini. He's got to use that pesky blast code to get out himself. But the front line burned down, and Crimson looking for more. Makes sure it's a flash-for-flash trade as 5 Mini continues to back up. Teleport channel from Calculus, full HP and back in for the party, but the control of that top side pit completely surrendered. Ryder's still looking to play on the edge of his health bar here, trading with Dr. Calculus, trying to set up these marksmen for their kills as 5 Mini is getting heralded by Kim down. One more stun, one more Mystic shot. Crimson picks up a 3rd kill on this elongated fight. It doesn't seem to be ending anytime soon with those short respawn timers, and the health bars not looking too healthy for Team Crimson. They'll likely actually have to give up the 6 grubs, but like last time, Ferris, they make it cost a lot in the kill department.
Can they even make usage of the 6 scrubs the way the game is going is my question. They're kind of desperate. I was about to say before that play broke out, they need to make something happen here. They do, but the counterpunch is just so awesome from Team Crimson. They get as many kills as they need, and they're still killing 5 Mini in the mid lane after the fight is over. It looks all over the place from Dr. Calculus's team. So the coordination here might have to be better from them. It does have to be better from them if they want success going forward. At the very least, they have the grubs to work with, but again, can they really get those cross-map situations that they want? I feel like Crimson's side's just going to match everything they do, and with the gold lead, that's always going to go their way.
Gold lead, not only in these marksmen, as you can see, jungle starting to grow here. Kryra's Ivern already has the redemption done. And Ferris, you aptly hammered down this point, but Ivern, very annoying once he gets to certain cheap support item thresholds, gets levels into his shielding, level 2 ultimate with Daisy able to come back up. Kryra being accelerated just makes this double marksman combo exactly like cookies and cream.
I want to see if they actually get, well, Sushi, again, only 87 creep score to his name, level 7, down a whole level to Scary Jerry, kind of suffering in this game state. They have to make something happen on a side lane. Does Team Calculus or get some type of odd person advantage, 3 versus 1? And this counterpunch, if it is a cross map, won't be as bad because they do have all the grubs in their favor. So the thing is, Utter is being pressured here by Zyko and Will, but Kryra and Kim down, they're just matching this pressure. That's all that they're doing. They're not playing super aggressive. They're not trying to fight them with urgency to end this game with a gold lead. They know what's in store for them later on, and it's really hard, Slayer, for Team Calculus to really get anything right now. It's a super frustrating playstyle to play into.
Super frustrating indeed. And like you talked about, another great approach from Team Crimson you're seeing. They're not necessarily going for these kills. They're going for wave control into the team with 6 grubs and a Ziggs. So they don't want to fight. They just want to make sure 5 Mini can't get close to a turret to threaten it with plates up. And the same is being done by Scary Jerry. Hold on, though. Zyko very low does get caught. Mom not going to hit for Utter, so Zyko able to hop over that wall to safety. But it's just pressuring these turrets, pressuring these waves to try and slow down the one real advantage for Team Calculus, like we've been talking about, the fact they have 6 grubs and a Ziggs that can shred towers if given the opportunity.
I'm foreseeing in the future around maybe 3rd Drake or a Baron here, the sign of life for Team Calculus. They find that glorious engage that they need. The pick potential and the engage potential more specifically is always there for them. It feels like when we were all watching Game 5 of Gen G FlyQuest and, you know, Chovy was playing the Smolder, the conditions were so good for them, and we're sitting here this slow burn victory like, oh my gosh, it's over, isn't it? Like, we can't really get anything done. We got a glimmer of hope there around those mid-game fights, so I'm looking towards these objectives right now for Team Calculus' side. This might be their one avenue back in, is catch Utter, catch Scary Jerry. We need to be able to pile everything we have on them and try to claw our way back into the game that way.
I also don't hate the side lane pressure 5 Mini's playing for, is one of those 3 versus 1 catches is finally manifesting. Kim down, caught trying to get back towards his second marksman. Will fall. Scary Jerry now in 1 versus 2. Hops over the wall. Does have to burn the flash, though, to get away from Sushi. A little bit of a bite back coming out from Team Calculus here and really play towards those grubs as well. 5 Mini knocks down the first turret of the game thanks to those mites to get some more gold back into the red side.
I think it's a good point you made. Yeah, the macro has actually been solid for them. First turret gold is big. The gold gap has closed a little bit from what we saw a couple minutes ago. They get the kill onto Kim down, and they get Scary Jerry's flash here too. So Crimson's side still has to play so safe because they don't want to throw the game away with one unfortunate misposition. Now we're going to use the Herald to chunk that tier 1 tower. And I think there's still, lots of avenues to play for. Still a very close game, Slayer, and they can definitely claw their way back into this one. If they keep getting and accumulating plays like the ones that they just had. And Sushi slowly, I mean, it sucks. Still having to play into this pressure from the Ezreal, but can follow up from long-range engages too with that Mega Inferno Ball.
Sushi is just trying to hibernate his way towards the real Ziggs power spike. And I'm curious to see how much Team Calculus want to play for these side lane threats, because I do think 5 Mini is still a power point. We talked about Utter has had a pretty nice Smolder early game, but even unless you're super fed out the gate on the Smolder, Yone is going to be a bit more powerful on first item. We see that Triforce completed. Pretty confident 5 Mini should, and will have the Blade of the Rune King back here. So while it's kind of hard to get waves shoved into one of Smolder and Ezreal as this Yone, I think 5 Mini as a threat on the side lanes could also be another macro decision that Team Calculus can play through, especially with no neutral objective up for a while. I mean, we're not getting Baron or Dragon for another 3 minutes.
And 5 Mini on the Yone, you expect, we talked about Smolder and Utter wanting to play sides to get those stacks going. But once 225 is reached, you want to be with your team to support them in fights. Your value as a side laner doesn't really have that same value when you're not stacking up that power spike. So 5 Mini, though, is always going to have that kind of lethal power in the side lane, especially if he's pulling a huge team fight tool from Crimson like the Smolder down there. If this keeps up, always has kill threat too, even against Crimson, which is the current lane assignment that's happening bot side. One Fate sealed, he gets some alone time, maybe Crimson has no flash. That's going to be a huge macro advantage for the side of Team Calculus to play through. So yeah, we're talking a lot about 5 Mini. I think that's something to look for here as Calculus. You might be in trouble, my friend.
He does have all summoners available to him, ult up as well. Maybe not wanting to use that just yet. Keep his resistances up, and they do have the Inferno Bomb coming over to clear out the wave. Really well timed from Sushi, because that should have been the first turret down for Team Crimson. But now with the stall, the side lane pressure from Team Calculus is really starting to mount with those mites. They chunk down a tier 2 turret to about half before Team Crimson is really ever going to find their first knockdown turret.
2 key ultimates used as, oh, look at Zyko here.
Zyko, unique angle onto his Maryville teammate. Maybe caught Scary Jerry off guard there. Gets the cleanse burn, so we'll have to track this window, Ferris, for Team Calculus. Scary Jerry not going to have either summoner up for probably another minute or so.
Gonna have to play very careful here. You don't want to give any opportunities for Team Calculus to exploit that weakness. Unfortunately, the flash is up pretty soon. Again, still a good chunk of time. I mean, Baron here at 20 minutes would be really ambitious from either side. So minute 45 on the Cloud Drake. And Jerry should be able to get that one back up, keep himself safe here. Those plays that we saw previously where both top laners looked like they were getting dove, I always favor the team with 6 grubs in that. Thankfully, the equalizer cleared the wave. But little situations like that on the map, great for Team Calculus because they have those grubs. They just take the towers quicker. They're getting more gold injected to them. You see a lot of good teams, at least at Worlds too, exploit that fact against teams that were weaker macro-wise. They just make trades with the grubs and it ends up being in their favor. So another avenue to play for Team Calculus, and something they could have got there if it wasn't for that great equalizer from Crimson.
It's the difference in stylistic top laner too showing there, because Dr. Calculus wants to be, as much as it doesn't look fun to be the 3 versus 1 getting turret dove, like that is what Cassante wants. He is a pressure soaker. But Rumble is all about scaling for team fights. So Calculus got to be thinking he's happy that that many people swung topside to try and punish him. As I did get a Smolder stack check, by the way. Utter doing a very good job. He was at about 165 at about 18 minutes. So, yeah, he's up to 170. You know, there's so many numbers to track stacking well, Ferris, and sometimes I get thrown off, but I'm pretty confident that that is good stacking, and Utter's certainly getting a lot more stacks now as 5 Mini tries to punish Kim down, and with the Ignite over top will actually be enough for Zygo to find the kill, but Utter has way more left in the tank with Mom's help, and he's going to flash forward to secure a trade kill. Now it's just the mid laners left brawling it out. Ultimate is available for 5 Mini, but he tanks a turret shot. I don't think he's going to be going for that Fate Shield anytime soon, as on the other side of the map, the other two marksmen, we see Scary Jerry win, finally knocking down Sushi for the first time.
Kryra and Scary Jerry, they find Sushi. That's going to be their opportunity to crack open the mid lane, giving them more options to play for. Even the trade, 1-for-1 topside, that is perfect for Utter. I was going to say before the trade came through, Utter's like, get out of here. I just want to stack and I just want to get to this 225. I'm so close. But he's like, oh, a couple kills. Hey, I'm stacking on this very tanky Rel sitting in front of me. Okay, don't mind if I do. Getting ever closer to that power spike. And I think, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a huge Smolder player, but the golden standard for stacking is... Oh, we'll hold that thought, Fate Sealed.
There's the Glacial Prison combo. Mastery of a CC lockdown from Will and 5 Mini. Knocks Utter down right after he teleported back up just to cover that top lane turret.
That's a textbook play that they made. That's the layering of CC you want, but Will's in trouble.
Oh, yep. Tanky Sejuani, but fed Ezreal. We'll see who wins here as Kip down is left to the wayside. Equalizer comes through as Crimson shows up to support his team. Zygo has to cross the flame barrier to get out, but Crimson wants blood. Chases down 5 Mini as Dr. Calculus joins the party. It's a split fight on two fronts, but it's the Ezreal standing tall for Team Crimson. Double kill over to Scary, gets the reset, trying to get more Mystic shots down to chase down Sushi, doing a good job of dodging for now. But Scary Jerry, a couple more cooldowns could get him close enough. They won't chase any further. 4 kills for Team Crimson behind their superstar AD carry.
Jerry is untouched in that team fight and absolutely abusing his power, has hit the man immune power spike, is absolutely destroying everyone's HP bar. Utter falls, but that's 2 key ultimates they used to get that kill. So in the following play, they don't have as many items or tools to get a team fight win, and that is what Team Crimson is using to exploit them there. Will going too far forward. Jerry makes them pay 5-0 on this Ezreal now, leaning around 10 CS per minute. This is going to be scary, especially Slayer once 3 items come through. There are 2 people to focus on, and if you are Team Calculus, how do you get both of them at the same time?
Arguably 3 with Crimson, and the itemization is perfect on his Rumble. He is playing to burn through tanks specifically, and that is exactly how this style of comp wants to play. It is all front to back for Team Crimson, and that's how they've won virtually every single fight, except for Scary Jerry breaking that mold a little bit to limit test on the Ezreal. Whenever I see an Ezreal arcane shift forward, it gets me nervous, but not when a guy like Scary Jerry's helmet.
He's just confident on this pick, and that's what you need is confidence. When you have all that range, you can bait big engages to come through, and you can put some real work into it on this pick. So he's doing that. I mean, he's been doing well in the Combine all throughout. Kryra also scaling, but here we go, another one here in the river.
Ooh, but the Utter does get caught. Glacial Prison going to be eaten up by Kim down, so Utter will be able to kite back. Does get the stun, though, from the Sejuani passive. Utter will fall, but just like last fight, is it going to end up costing the side of Team Crimson? No, it will not, as their captain knocks down a triple kill to avenge his fallen mid laner, and look what's on the menu right over the river wall.
Crimson Rumble once again, absolutely deep frying their enemies. Jerry onto Sushi.
Yep.
This is
it's
lopsided.
1 Mystic shot, 1 Arcane Shift, and there's just too much damage on this Ezreal. Scary Jerry goes dominating, and now Baron is a surefire secure, barring a miracle from Dr. Calculus, but I believe he's just got a date with Daisy, who's going to hold him at place. Baron's going to fall, and if Dr. Calculus isn't comfortable enough, that date may turn into a battle from Team Crimson. He's going to just have to watch as the entire enemy team grabs 5 purple banners.
It's like that situation where you're walking in the same direction as somebody and you both step to try and get out of each other's way in the same direction, and then you try and do it again and you put yourselves in the same direction again. That was Calculus trying to get around Daisy for that Baron. Daisy just standing there puffing out the chest muscles like, you're not getting through me, bro. I don't know what you're trying to do, but the squad's taking the Baron. We're running this game here. Sushi, I know, tried to make the plays happen there, I guess, but there's just not a lot of damage on this Zig. So de-accelerated, and they really can't make anything happen if that first initial engage doesn't come through. And now they have Baron. Crimson, once again, on this Rumble has been absolutely insane. Though that TP flank was everything for their team. Really kind of spearheading those re-engages, but let's see what they can get now as Jerry, you're in a big amount of trouble.
That is a double teleport coming just to make sure Scary Jerry falls, and maybe if another fight breaks down the backside, they can win it because the rest of Team Crimson wants to avenge Scary Jerry, but a big amount of damage from Sushi comes out, and with that flank on the double teleport, there's just too many bodies for Team Crimson to really deal with. Their captain did not have teleport up and is trying to run down, but the first fight win we see for Team Calculus, over-indexing onto those side lanes. They've even looking for more here as Will sees an angle onto Kim down, flashes over the wall. Can Sushi get close enough? He flashes and hits the bomb. Nail on the head. Kim down falls, make it 3 kills back for Team Calculus.
Sushi with that Kobe Bryant right there, flashing forward, finding that last bouncing bomb to finish off the kill. Thankfully, Crimson tried to come back into that play, didn't have TP, was too far away, decided to take away the tier 2, so there's some trade-off for Crimson's team, but that's a good spark of light, good beacon of hope for Calculus's side. Is side lanes, they overpunish. They also got both summoners off of Jerry too. Utter with no flash for the next couple of minutes. We have a minute 40 to go on the Drake. They need more fights like that. It was especially helpful that Crimson wasn't there to help out. And I think he's going to get this recall off Slayer, so that pick itself would have been insane. But they need a couple more of those, and there is a genuine chance they can still get their way back, especially with Sushi approaching that 3-item mark.
Big fan of how often Zyko and Will are linking up. We talked about it in the early game when things started to get a bit rough, that those two had to be the playmakers for their Ziggs and Yone to have easy runway to get these kills. And this last couple of plays, they've really shown that one off. Dr. Calculus on the side lane duty. Gonna spot out a couple of key members. This Cloud Drake's still about a minute away. But the big thing off that fight win is that only Crimson able to really capitalize on that Baron. So yeah, there are a couple turrets to fall, Ferris, but it certainly wasn't as bad as thought to be when 5 people got the Baron for Team Crimson.
That's an excellent point to make. They were probably hoping to crack the base or even get as lucky as to start looking at some Nexus towers, depending on how successful of a fight they found with that Baron buff. Not going to get that. So still 2.5 minutes for the side of Team Calculus to work with before that next Baron spawns up. If they want to give the next Drake, that's totally okay for them. It's not the soul. They would have to contest in the 5 minutes following afterwards. But for the moment, they've bought themselves some time, definitely planting the seeds of doubt maybe as well in Team Crimson's mind, saying, okay, that fight didn't go so well for us necessarily. We want to definitely make sure we don't make that mistake again. So could be some hesitation going through for the next plays, but they should still be very confident, especially with a setup like this around the Dragon. I don't really know how they get in unless they find a snap engage onto someone priority here. Again, no sums for the key targets of Team Crimson.
I don't think they even need to go in. This is not for soul point. This is not soul. If you give up this Dragon, it's not a big gold injection. You can catch waves. The side lanes are in a pretty neutral spot. So I don't think Team Calculus really needs to contest this, especially with all the... Well, the Ivory Brushes do fall down. The problem is I didn't even notice that. Zyko just gets burned by Scary Jerry, who is at 3 items on this Ezreal at his most powerful point. And if that didn't signal that there's no Drake take coming from Team Calculus, Zyko falling certainly was the nail in the coffin.
For anyone wondering, when is Ezreal the scariest? It's when he's 7-1, accelerated with 3 items. That's right now. You said it, Slayer. Scary Jerry has the armor penetration too. So any of the measly sort of little armor buffs that Zyko has, that Will has, that is paper to this Ezreal. Gonna absolutely rip through that HP bar. So catching Zyko out level 10 on the Rel like that, you're just done for. So maybe they had a glimmer of hope to go and get something done at that Cloud Drake. You said it yourself, though, Slayer. I don't know. They didn't really have to do that, per se. They didn't lose anyone key. But now the clock is ticking. 4.5 till that soul point. It is a Cloud Soul. I mean, it's still very valuable for them. Maybe not an Infernal Soul, maybe not a Hextech Soul. Nonetheless, though, Baron, again, they're going to get their second crack at this. They're probably not going to toss it away this time. So it's pressure on Team Calculus. Find a way to clear vision. Find a way to get a good setup for yourself. Otherwise, this is kind of Armageddon for you right now.
And Team Calculus look best when they are forcing man advantage fights, but that's not going to be the case here as Zyko is once again picked off, just trying to get some preliminary vision down around that Baron pit. Zyko dies, respawns, and dies. And with Baron up in 10 seconds, it could be a bit more costly. You can see the duty now for Kryra is just keep Will out of his own jungle, keep him away from this Baron pit. They're going to get the mid lane shoving and likely turn towards this Baron, but Kryra feeling like he had to flash away from Dr. Calculus there. Now going to re-engage with the Snap Seed. And Scary Jerry's pummeling the damage in as well over the wall. Not going to even let Team Calculus sniff the Baron pit at this current moment.
No, they're just keeping the pressure on. They have an advantage. They just want to press it. They can utilize the Baron. Oh, we're going to see a TP flank. I'm seeing this right now, Slayer. This could be their moment here. If they win this fight, they could get Baron. Let's see how it unfolds.
Good Dr. Calculus flipped this game on its head, trying to set up a huge flank. Redemption down. They have Utter Mark. They do not have Scary Jerry off to the side. The big Fate Sealed combined with Dr. Calculus. They are running through these health bars. But look at Utter and Jerry. They finally stand up. They were untouched this entire time. Sure, you can burn through our Ivern, but he's not the deal breaker. Ace over to Team Crimson as they kite back to a Game 1 win.
Team Calculus, they had their last hurrah. They had their Hail Mary play. They threw everything that they had and the kitchen sink towards Team Crimson, but they flexed their muscles. They opened up their wallet to $100 bills, and they win the fight that's going to win them the game. It was a textbook early game from start to finish, minimal mistakes, a really smooth transition to their late game power, and now they're taking the Nexus at 31 minutes. It doesn't get much better than that for them.
They played towards their strengths so well, even in a flank position there. Big shout out to Kryra, to I believe Kim down as well, protecting those marksmen, because that's all you have to do in these comps. You know, avoid the initial blow, and your Smolder and Ezreal will bring you home. Even when the early games were really successful, it's nice to see that we got kind of a close final fight there where we felt like it was the first time this Team Calculus comp got their style of fight, but it just didn't end up mattering because it was such a polished game outside of a couple mishaps in the bot lane late in that game from Team Crimson.
Scary Jerry, Utter putting out the damage in this one. This is like the ideal graph that you want to see, Slayer, where you have both of your main carries having way more damage than the Ivern, who isn't at that 31,000 damage mark in this game. Honestly, I might have to look back at whatever build that player was pulling out, because that was pretty insane. But the Rumble there, Crimson had some key moments. Deathless as well. You always love to see that. That's a great sign in a player making smart decisions, still being able to impact while also minimizing risks here. And the early game, again, from Calculus' side, they're going to have to assess how they could have gotten more advantages for themselves, prevented things like the level 1 death to accelerate Scary Jerry off rip, that kind of things, and be able to get into a position where you are stronger at that mid game. You're not down in gold, and it's much harder for people like Utter, Scary Jerry, even Kryra to get to those crazy spikes of power that they were able to achieve so early on in the game. But a testament to the really good performance here from the side of Crimson and all of his teammates.
Team Crimson drafted a specific composition, executed it masterfully, and now it's time for these players to relax. Well, maybe not relax, but certainly pay attention in schooling, as Coach Ido and Coach Keel will now start to break down those VOD reviews. For you guys at home, that unfortunately means our break's going to be a bit longer than you expect from a 3-game series in the Tier 3 level. But I implore you to stick with us, because on the other side, we'll have game number 2, the second to last game we will get to see of the Path2Pro Combine in Stage 1. You won't want to miss it. We'll hope to see you guys back in a few.
繰り返し寝ても覚めてもやまないそっけない君の笑顔が恋しくて星に願うのまた会えるよね
Welcome back, everyone, to day 16 of the Sido.gg Path to Pro Combine, where we're featuring some of the brightest stars in the North American League of Legends ecosystem. It's the final day before the last 5 selections are made to see who is going to go to the LA boot camp here. We've seen one game between Team Calculus and Team Crimson already, with Team Crimson a pretty controlled, pretty clean game, brought out the victory for themselves, and now into the draft for the second meeting between these two teams. We're going to see how that plays out. I'm still Ferris, joined by Slayer on the broadcast. And let's see what they change up here in this one.
Yeah, well, at very base level, they've changed sides. It is Dr. Calculus's team on the blue side, and they're going to go dip back into the champion. Well, we have pointed out many times here, the Ivern has been B1'd in both games now, once for both sides. This time going to be in the hands of a Will. What does the answer look like for Kryra? A Vi Hover would be very indicative of a new play style, because you really can't go for any of what Team Crimson did last game with a Vi in there. So looking for a strong mid lane selection alongside the Vi, something that Fi Mini is very comfortable on, but you're thinking like Ari, Nico, Orianna. Certainly thinking kind of control mage vein whenever you see this champion locked into the jungle.
Yeah, so it's here, they're going to go with the Rumble. I'm surprised about the Vi here. I believe it's Kryra pulling out the Vi. So yeah, I'm surprised they went for that, because it feels like into Ivern it can get tricky with Daisy and everything. But now that they have the Ivern, they can pile on the Equalizer too. I'm looking towards maybe a pick composition for them. Might see some Kai'Sa here. Scary Jerry, not necessarily someone I think of as the best Kai'Sa player. That's more of Sushi who I think of, but definitely something they could go for here, especially because the Ashe is taken away. I wonder if Jerry picks up the Ziggs as well. Tristana is not going to be the unique pick. I thought that for a second. But yeah, I'm thinking dive. I'm thinking pick potential here for Team 1.
Like the adaptation on the other side for Team Calculus, still likely to, I believe they'll go for a double marksman composition with the Tristana. I think that is more than likely to be Udder on the Tristana mid lane, and there's that pairing you like with the Vi. I would say the most tried and true pairing that most people know at a competitive level, the Ari Vi combination. So Fi Mini going to be playing into Udder's Tristana. And like I think we forgot to point out in the first phase, I know those second waves of bans went really quick. The rule is you're supposed to only ban one champion in either phase 1 or 2. So the reason we just flew through the phase 2 bans was because those aren't actual real bans. Nobody's banning Action in competitive, even in Combine. So take those with a grain of salt. We do get to see a Scary Jerry classic though, Ferris. This guy is a monster on the Callista, but it's going to be Team Crimson indexing a bit more into early to mid game power spiking, and a Kog'Maw is the exact opposite on the other side for Team Calculus.
The response is going to be Renata Glask. I was thinking about that textbook pairing with Callista. So Kim Down taking that one into the bot lane with Scary Jerry. You talked about Callista here. This Kog'Maw pick, this is unique, right? That's outside of the picks that are allotted for the 80 carries. Now, they have Tristana already for physical damage. They have Renekton already for physical damage. One sort of variation of Kog'Maw that we've been seeing to avoid, on top of lane swaps, to avoid a bad lane, is building a poke style Kog'Maw. You run Arcane Comet, you go into the Seraph's Embrace, you hit from range, and you don't necessarily have to worry about the horrifying Callista Renata staring in your face, ready to gut you with those spears and all that Zon chemicals. So I wonder if Sushi is going to be the person to pull that out this game. I'm thinking potentially here, Slayer.
Good call. I always think about that Kog'Maw build as the Voidling variant of Xerath, because you're just basically your living artillery is just like a steroided up Xerath W that you can just drop from Xerath Q range. So I do think you can still very much so go the on hit, because you're playing towards, once again, it's the blue side playing a composition based on double marksman, scaling, front to backing. It's a very similar MO that we saw Team Crimson be very, very successful during game number 1. And I would wager that we might get a lane swap once again. I think if you're this Kog'Maw Leona, you just want to throw them up against the Rumble that you don't really want to let scale. And while maybe it would have been a bit nicer if you'd seen another Cassante on this blue side, like he would have been a lot better on the weak side against Callista Renata. Renekton isn't terrible, and I would take the trade-off of allowing my Kog'Maw to scale in it, hurt my Renekton, as long as it's, making sure that the Callista doesn't get a really good early lead into the Kog'Maw, and you're not letting the Rumble farm away a matchup into a Renekton. So expect some sort of lane assignment shenanigans from Team Calculus.
It's not necessarily the best game for Renekton either. The fact that there's 3 range champions and there's also hostile takeover you have to worry about here. If you are Calculus, you have to worry about charms, handshakes. It's difficult. There's only the Vi and the Rumble that you can really tussle with. So it might just be a game where you're holding side lanes, you're making sure you're waiting for that right moment to just, I guess, flash on a carry and get that right setup to nuke them, follow it up with a trigger seed, or you might just be the follow-up for the solar flare. But kind of taking the approach that Team Crimson did in game 1 is Team Calculus. So they don't have the Smolder this time. They still have the Tristana, who scales pretty nicely. Double Marksman with the Ivern still could be that on-hit Kog'Maw. And I assume Jerry, could go the Lethal Temple Kalista, could go the Halo Blades, but either way, Cease and Desist, Charm Slayer, Equalizer, they want to kill someone quick and then run the fight 4v5.
Full-blooded pick comp for sure, and it's nice to see that Kryra is putting himself very much so in the shoes. Well, actually, I'll say it's better way to say is the Bolt junglers are switching shoes at this point. They are playing completely different styles, trying to once again illustrate that they are flexible in champion pool and play style to try and grab one of those coveted LA spots that you talked about at the top of this draft, Ferris. So interesting to see how Kryra looks like in that. Likely to be 2v2 with 5 mini, but the storyline with this red side comp is that they need to find early advantages. Doesn't have to be straight up killing, getting kills on this Callista Renata lane, the Rumble lane, because we don't think the lane assignments are going to be very normal, but look for them to try and get farm leads and try and fight around likely grubs, I would say. Maybe Dragon, but grubs early on. Get leads going in that aspect and then play for those ultimates. That mid game is critical if you want this red side draft to work for Team Crimson.
If Team Calculus is playing a very conservative style like they should, they're not giving them many opportunities if Team Crimson to make these plays happen. Grubs is the perfect way to kind of force them out of their shell, get them to poke their heads out a little bit, threaten 6 grubs, they look for a fight, then that's when you can kind of pounce. If you do get the grub advantage on top of a kill advantage, now you have a gold lead, you can start to work the map. If they don't contest you, then you're getting towers because you kill towers quicker than them. If they do, then you like those odds. So in the early game, at least, we know red side has to achieve some type of advantage. You alluded to the grubs. That is absolutely where things are going to go down, I do believe. And interesting as to what the game plan will be for Dr. Calculus's team as to how to avoid losing that grubs and all of those advantages early on. How can they weather the storm? I don't think trading Drakes is really enough, because that's just going to be them coming back into the mid game and then fighting you for the third one. So the team that had the scaling advantage last time found early game advantages there with some small mistakes. It's just whether they can capitalize on those windows for me.
And another unique window that I like to see is we are both, predicting lane swaps to be the neutralizing counter from the blue side to these worse early game lane states. If you're Kryra in this matchup, I haven't seen too many people get away with really try it, but Vi Ivern as like a window pocket. Maybe we'll see Kryra get aggressive, try and force maybe a vertical jungle to play towards one of these lane sides. So you can try and force a big advantage to get Scary Jerry ahead. I would likely see, because Crimson is very, very good on his Rumble. He's not too resource nutrient. Just let him farm, and he should have someone nice time. Or if he gets lane swapped into, then Kryra can play towards that side, get some rums going, and punish the fact that they're trying to shut down Crimson. So I'm looking to see Kryra in that early game maybe try and, at the very minimum, steal camps and force fights if he can find them with a 1v1 into Ivern in his unique clear. But Kryra should be a lot more, hold a lot more agency in this period of the game to try and get his team towards that critical mid game like we've been talking about.
And we might see tower dives from Team Crimson's side too. The fact they have bailout, it's a nice tool to work your way around a tower dive. Callista has some crazy burst damage. The last time we've seen the swaps, and a lot of times we've seen swaps or even just dives in general in this combine, it hasn't looked the greatest. No matter who's the one pulling it off, there's usually the person getting dove ends up getting away with 2 kills. There's miscommunications. They don't layer the CC properly. Someone gets away somehow. But they have tools to make that work. Big abilities like Handshake, lead with Vault Breaker, Charm. It's going to be Utter on this Ahri, who has all the abilities to move down and make plays happen too. It's just, can they get what they want in those lane swaps? Can they isolate someone like Dr. Calculus or get a lane assignment where it is going to be Sushi and Zyko, just the 2 of them down there, no TPs available in response? Can they get that early advantage so that the Kog'Maw can't run away with it? So yeah, early on, it's going to be indicative. Same sort of style the last game. What can we see from them? You put the emphasis on Kryra. What can you get done here early on to give your team what they need to actually have a shot at pulling through into the power of the blue side draft?
And you spoke to it, right? The similarities are certainly abundant, but one key difference, especially for Calculus now on the Ivern comp, last time we preached a lot that, Smolder and Ezreal are 2 marksmen that can stay very safe as we head into the game. The one thing I'll point out here is, Smolder, Ezreal have dashes to keep them safe. Tristana certainly fits that MO, but Sushi is under a lot of pressure. Kog'Maw is he's living artillery is his ultimate name. He's a walking turret. So he takes the cleanse. We do see the Arcane Comet come out, Ferris, so maybe the answer for being so immobile will be just utilizing the AP on the range, but this Kog'Maw should be the target once ults come online every single time for Team Crimson to punish, especially once and if they get summoners off of him.
I love this cook from Sushi. I wanted to see it. You can just insta-clear waves post 6. You throw down the barf on the floor, and then living artillery is going to clear everything away. That makes it hard if you are Team Crimson to go for dives when you just don't have wave set up here. And it makes it harder, too, for Scary Jerry to lane into the Kog'Maw. They might not even... they have the bot lane here. We'll see how this all unfolds. They're looking for invades and wards. Might see things break down here. Gonna get wards down. Yeah, they're just trading back and forth. I think they're just gonna waltz this one out though.
But as they waltz out, we'll see what they decide to shimmy into with these lane assignments. It looks like we're continuing to be pretty unique towards the end of our window, the public's window into this combine. It is Calculus alongside Sushi, and then Zyko with 5 Mini. I'm really impressed by these adaptations, especially with the double marksman comp specifically. It's a lot more fluid in those rigid lane assignments, right? I wouldn't even necessarily label one of Sushi and 5 Mini as the AD carry. They're both just so interchangeable with Zyko, and he can just move around. So expect to see this continue to happen like we did see with Kim Down when Team Crimson was running this similar style of comp.
That's kind of the luxury that you do end up having with double marksman here is, well, Handshake's going to land. Sushi's going to take a good amount of damage here. Scary Jerry opting in as well for the lethal tempo. Callista, not the Hail of Blades, so probably going to be going into Blade of the Rune King, Ginsu's Rage Blade, that typical route into Terminus later on. Not going to go for all that lethality. A couple lethality items were also changed on 1422, specifically Yomu's Ghostblade and Opportunity, 2 items that lethality Callista did like to play out. But yeah, we see the lane assignments. I think they're going to be in favor right now of Team Crimson. The fact that they moved up there, they wanted to avoid this Callista lane. It is still hard. You can see the CS advantage there. So they're going to be happy with the way this starts out. 5 Mini, wow, you're taking a really close trade there under the tower.
And power of a turret shot. Utter is able to wrestle control of that lane, and 5 Mini is far too low. Threat of a flash charm is very apparent, so we'll have to expend the teleport early on. Advantage to Utter there. And also, yeah, credit to Team Crimson here. Recognizing the swap was going to come out, they matched it aptly, and it's just so fun to watch Scary Jerry on one of his... I actually would say that this is the Scary Jerry champion that I think of when it comes to him as a Callista. And you really saw in that first trade something really niche that he does, but he had a couple of spears in minions, and then when the handshake lands, he threw a Q down to get the first Rend for the slow, and because he had it on a minion execute, he resets the Rend and then gets a couple more spears in for extra damage. Just small things that you get from these really good Kalista players.
Zyko is going to go right in here, but it's first blood to Sushi. That is perfect for them. They just don't know who is on the horizon. Did Will even get involved in that play here, Slayer? I don't even know if he did, but that was crazy burst damage that came through onto Kim Down.
Yeah, I believe he might have just put a shield on Zyko as he got hit, and that's like, hey, that's an assist for you. But the mere presence is massive, and you mentioned it. This is the perfect start. A lot of pressure alleviated for Sushi, and this is shades of game number 1. That game also started with both the marksmen we were worried about, able to get early gold leads.
And the tier early stacking too. Now you can build some AP on top of it. That poke from the Kog'Maw is really going to start hurting. It's going to, once cooldowns start to become less of an issue for the Kog'Maw, going to make it hard for Scary Jerry to interact with this champion. It's the same thing as a mage bot, basically. You said it. It's like the Xerath. It's going to sit there and clear waves, and you as the Kalista that wants kills is just going to be kind of like twiddling your thumbs like, okay, I guess I'm not playing the game this time around. It's really annoying to play into. So that extra kill accelerates the Kog'Maw. Very nice stuff here. Grubs, though, that's our next talking point here, Slayer. Can they get advantages here around these grubs? Can Team Crimson?
Grubs and, the top side for Team Crimson has been doing a really good job neutralizing what Sushi was able to grab with Will and Zyko. Kryra's doing a really good job out farming this Ivern, and it's what we wanted from this Vi, especially if you're going to go for more of a full clear style. And then Crimson, I mean, he knows Rumble like the back of his hand, but he knows Renekton like the back of his other hand. So in that isolated 1v1 matchup, a serious CS lead already ahead of Dark Catalyst. He's got his ultimate before him. He's got an XP and gold level lead that is really starting to expand. And like we talked about, this is why we expected Calculus's team to try and force a lane swap that would have just been advantageous for both of their sides. Luckily, that early first blood was able to get them one of those lanes ahead, but it's Kryra and company hopping on those grubs like you talked about, Ferris, and doesn't seem to be any contest from Will, who is not even getting towards his quadrant in time.
We were gassing up the fact that that kill is so huge for the Kog'Maw. It's not the end of the world by any means for Team Crimson. They're still following their blueprint that they've laid out for themselves ahead of this game. Is they've matched the lane swaps. They've got the good matchup for Crimson. They've got 3 grubs. They've got it pretty much here for free. So they just have to wait their time out here, look for opportunities, make sure they're still tracking Will, because one counter gank from this Ivern, the way that you can see him positioning on the top side of the map, channeling the recall and the brush, could turn a aggressive play sour for them. Maybe wait for those 6 grubs to show up and then just play off of that. So far, things are still pretty decent for them. And I wouldn't say necessarily one team with a huge advantage and maybe more of a tense style of gameplay for game number 2.
It's both teams liking certain aspects of the opening 7 minutes, without a doubt. Sushi is the clear one for Team Calculus, and then I would say Crimson and Kryra are going to be the clear ones for Crimson side as lanes return to completely normal scenarios with this dragon up. Expect that Kryra won't be too mad about trying to trade this dragon. Certainly going to have to be worried about that in the later stages of the game. Maybe if you give up the first 2, play for that 3rd dragon, but he's more content trying to channel this farm leader.
Going right in. Cease and desist from Kryra. Rocket jump from 5 mini gets him out. A dodge, though. Doesn't have to use flash, too. So take some HP here. This might, though, Slayer, be the go button for them to start up this Infernal Drake.
Will nearby. So does have Daisy fully stacked up with HP. And 5 mini, like you mentioned, did not burn flash, did not burn ult. So you have a slight ult advantage if you want to contest this if you're Will, and he's certainly thinking about it.
It's getting dangerous right now. They're going to have to snap onto someone. Good handshake, though, from Kim down onto Zyko. Stops the Leona from going straight in. Utter's going to try and go forward to finish off the Leona, but can't quite do that. Scary Jerry's going to be buffed up here from the bailout. Utilizing the Dragon to close the gap. Flash forward from Utter. Going to be matched by 5 mini. Charm lands onto the Iron, but Scary Jerry's flashing forwards. Got 1 kill. Will is cornered here on the other side. Utter's out of mana, but Scary Jerry should be able to join the rest of the squad and knock down this Ivern. Kryra is here on the wings as well. Run, tree, run. That's what we're saying right now. Get out of that dragon pit, because this fight is all Team Crimson.
Man, there were such close margins in that one. You called it out. Kim down with a beautiful handshake to pull Zyko out of his Zenith Blade, but the real catch was going to be, does Phi Mini kill off Kryra? We didn't see it on screen with the fully stacked bomb ticking down. He went for the Buster Shot full stack bomb combo. I think Kryra limped away with like 5% HP. You get that kill, the jungler's down. That fight looks so much different, but like you mentioned, because Kryra doesn't fall, and Scary Jerry's able to find that one big first kill. It kind of neutralizes everything.
Snap onto him, though. Here's the cleanse. He might be able to walk this one out. Has to utilize those happy feet there. Walking into the living artillery. It's one more auto attack from Sushi. And they get it. 2 versus 1. Scary Jerry gets stopped here for stepping too far forward.
2-0 Sushi. Another big gold injection. I'm pretty confident this is going to be the components for likely an Archangel staff. Yeah, he gets the Lost Chapter. There's actually a lot of options you can go with that. So, man, that is going to be very, very pivotal because it is really Sushi that has kept this early game close. And like we mentioned in draft, a close early game, not even a lead for Team Calculus, is so much more monumental because they are playing for your traditional 5v5 power spike that you get at 2 items, 2 to 3 items, around that mid to late 20-minute mark. But as ultimates are coming online, we already saw a cease and desist. We got Equalizer available. You've got the Fate's Call, Renata, hostile takeover combo. This is where Team Crimson are needing to use their ults to find advantages.
Ooh, him down, has to flash away from the solar flare. I don't know if that was hitting, but it might just be panicked there, saying, okay, can't die right before the Void Grub spawn. I need to be here for my team. Critically, though, well, Zyko doesn't have the ultimate anymore. I was going to say level 6 advantage for the Leona. But I would imagine Kim Down is going to want to walk up to this wave, grab that level 6. There it is, and now has hostile takeover for this fight. So now it is Team Crimson with the ultimate advantage. Scary Jerry is just menacingly zoning 3 people away solo on this Callista. But this is a huge fight here, ladies and gentlemen. They want these 6 grubs. It would be so massive for them. They already have the Void Mites. Fate's Call is going to be used onto Will. Goes Kim Down, lands the handshake as well. The Charm is going to go with the CC. They got him. One shot is the Ivern. Scary Jerry's going to go into the bailout, I do believe, but not in time. Zyko finishes off that kill with the Ignite. Still the fight going Team Crimson's way. 2 Void Grubs still to get. Is there a follow-up fight that's going to happen? 5 Mini's just going to try and be annoying, maybe try and steal one away with an auto attack, but Kryra has the smite to make it happen. Sushi's poke is big, and Dominus going to be popped here, but they sold the cease and desist available. They're going to snap out of the Kog'Maw. He's going to explode right in everyone's face. Into the passive he goes, but can he deal the damage here to push them away? 6 Grub Slayer might be denied because they're all running for the hills with the low health bars.
Man, another really long, stressful fight where a couple key moments were really the definition there. Love the confidence from Kryra, recognizing, hey, listen, Sushi is ahead, but this is still a Kog'Maw that needs so much more time to really start dealing damage. Goes back in with a cease and desist, but the real hero is Kim Down. That hostile takeover not only secures the kill onto Will, but it hits everybody jumping on Scary Jerry, and it buys them a couple of key seconds with him still being up, that they're able to get over there to make sure Scary Jerry dying doesn't cost them too much, and really got the fight started for them. But Scary Jerry, he's still getting a ton of attention here.
Solar Flare's going to miss on the stun, but that's going to be the Zenith Blade plus the Trigger Seed utilized. Roll out the Living Artillery. Can't get the bailout in time. Zyko will be the trade. Although the kill goes to Kim Down once again. They punish Scary Jerry in the bot side. He definitely thought Slayer he was safe at that portion, but no, they're gunning for you, man. You got to be keeping yourself safe out here.
Great credit once again to Zyko, recognizing timers. You can see the summoners with Scary Jerry. They go for a play like that maybe 30 seconds later. He's got Cleanse, he's got Flash. It looks a lot worse, but it's all about, you know, such a key value, especially of your jungler support duos, recognizing key summoners being down and capitalizing on it. And that's what you just saw there from Team Calculus.
I've noticed this grub is still alive, by the way. They haven't taken this yet. So this is going to be despawning soon, though, with the Herald coming up. As Kryra has maybe walked into a situation he doesn't want to be in. There's not a lot of follow-up, though. Not a lot of damage here. Still uses the Flash. Thinks he needs it to get out. Spirit Rush committed from Utter as well. Good handshake from Kim Down to disengage the play. Calculus, he spotted the jungler. They're going to go for this one. They're saying, give me that one Void Might. All right, we don't got a lot, but this one would be nice to bank for ourselves. And they were aggressive. They got the Flash off of Kryra, and they'll get their prize.
Daisy doing all the work there for Ivern. Yeah, so they'll deny the double Void Mites, but still powerful if you're Team Crimson to have one Mite in the tank. You've got a couple of sneaky split push champions, I like to categorize them as. Rumble and actually Ari sometimes is also a little bit sneaky on those sides. So another angle to play for going forward if your Team Crimson is they're looking to punish Sushi, the big
Sushi's in
target.
trouble. Fate's Call flashed away from Cease and Desist was available from Kryra, couldn't quite get in range as the plates fall now. They should be able to grab first tower here, so still pretty beneficial play though for Team Crimson's side. Sushi now has to be extra careful in the next coming minutes without that summoner, specifically looking towards that Rift Herald that is now live, and something that Team Crimson would definitely want here to continue the onslaught of pressure.
Ferris, that was a foreshadowing for the rest of the game for Sushi. He's going to be hounded this often. We talked about it in the draft being, one of the immobile marksmen of the double marksman tandem, but now it's even bigger of a point of emphasis because he is one of the few champions that was towards first item, not a cheap item either. He's got the Lunens down. That tier is stacking very well. Gotta think he's sitting on a big chunk of gold off the next back as well. So, Sushi, this is going to be a really big test for such a young, up-and-coming player as the prime target. He's got a target on his back for the rest of this game.
Absolutely. He wants to also wait for when Phi Mini starts to ramp up too, because then he's like, okay, hey, you're going for me, but look at this guy over here. He's blowing up your whole team too. So now you got to make a choice. But right now, he's the juiciest piece of food on the menu for the side of Team Crimson. Maybe not, though, with Phi Mini scaling up as well. It's going to be a no contest Slayer on this Rift Herald. So things still going very much in Team Crimson's way. And we'll see in the next couple minutes what they can do with this. We're seeing grouped up around the river. They're on their way. Calculus, Solar Flare, Cleanse from Scary Jerry, Trigger Seed, Hostile Takeover is going to disengage the play, but might just be the re-engage they need. Where did Calculus go? He is gone from the map. And the flank from Crimson, once again, I've seen this before. This Rumble is as dangerous as they come. Potential pentakill angle for Scary Jerry. Dive the tower. Kill Zyko. Give it to this man. We need a pentakill injected into my veins. Pentakill for Scary Jerry's Callista.
Wow, once again, it is just such patient team fighting from Team Crimson. They recognize that they can play back, wait for a small window, and the hostile takeover from Kim Down is beautiful once more. With the handshake, they lock Dr. Catalyst up. He died with ult up. You killed a Renekton with Dominus up. That is like a needle in a haystack moment, and once that happened, you're the team with all the agency. You didn't need to burn any of your ultimates. The cease and desist, the equalizer, the Fate's Call were all up and available, and what does it get you? One of Tier 2 North America's best in the marksman role. An absolutely beautiful pentakill. He bought a full item off that back, and now we thought Sushi was going to be scary accelerated. Wait till you watch a mid-game Callista with 2 items.
He's unleashed. He is on the board. He's ready to keep on frying. That is a golden play there for Team Crimson. Now they have all the tools they need to start running this game. 4,000 gold, 5 grubs. Rift Herald still in the pocket of Kryra here. He's just going to sit here, Slayer, and just kick out the lawn chair and say, hey, if you do anything to my boy Jeremiah over here, I'm right here. I'm ready to support, and that's exactly what he's going to do here. Solar Flare, bro? I don't think so. I'm here. I'm ready to protect my boy. He's 7-3 on the Callista. He's not getting touched. He's carrying the squad. That's all they have to do at this point, and just siege down everything, and it's going so good for them right now.
This is a critical window for Team Calculus where they don't need to get too panicked. Yeah, it sucks to give up a penta, sucks to give up such a big chunk of gold, but you do not need to start forcing fights as this team. You are still going to be a composition that is very deadly, grouped up later in the game. So I like the fact that they didn't overextend off of Zyko's Solar Flare to really try and kill off Scary Jerry, because they have a lot they can still give up. Ferris Keeley, we haven't seen anybody take this first dragon. It is 18 minutes in, and finally Kryra will start it. So that's actually a huge point to really support Team Calculus letting this game stall out, because there's not going to be much to really play for with this gold lead if you're Team Crimson.
That's right. Yeah, they finally walk over and pick this one up. And they still have that Eye of the Herald waiting here for Kryra. There's still, well, the tier 1 is now down. They still have tier 2s that they could crack open, a tier 1 in the top side. So let's see it here, Slayer. Last game we were kind of robbed from a team that wants to get an early lead actually get into that position because of the way that it just played out. So let's see now with the script flipped. What can the side of Calculus's squad do to mitigate the pressure that's going to be coming their way? You talked about the fact that the late dragon, that's good for them. They won't be seeing a soul in 15 minutes time. And at that point, if they've still made it, they're still breathing on Summoner's Rift, then there's probably going to be in a good spot with all the scaling at their disposal here. So still a little bit of pressure, though, on Crimson's side to keep that pressure going.
Yeah, you just have to react and play patiently. Not saying they don't need to take any fights, but you got to wait for some of these critical ultimates to come out to try and punish 5 Mini, maybe try and punish Sushi. Sushi will have both his cleanse and flash up in mere seconds. 5 Mini not too far off with that flash as well. Just turtle up, boys, because that is what your Kog'Maw can do from distance, and that is only 1.5 items on Sushi.
And Otter forced to use the Spirit Rush. That's a huge tool now gone. They're going to commit the Herald to knock down this tier 1 in the top lane. I don't think they're going to get a second crash either, so not a ton of value from this Slayer. That was like, what, 1/3 of a tower? So, yeah, Sushi, bro, he's got the very lethal vomit ready to go. Taking out Otter's HP bar and just saying we're not going down without a fight. So that's really just going to be, and that's the benefit of having all this wave clear at your disposal. What's he brewing up right there? See, look how dangerous this stuff is. He's dreaming about beating his opponents right now with that little book in his mind. He's going to be the way that they get to that point in the game where they actually feel strong.
If I learned anything from Arcane, if it's glowing, it's not good for you. So I think that's the rule that Sushi should stick with, whatever that purple substance is. What an interesting talking point.
Shimmer, I think.
Yeah, the shimmer, right? Well, I mean, honestly, the way Hextech was was first seen in season 1 of Arcade, I don't think we should trust Hextech either. If anyone knows exactly how season 1 ends, so we'll see though. We talk about bridging damage a lot, especially with these double marksman comps. Hold on, supports are trading.
Him down as well. Scary Jerry, that's not the path that you want to take. He's getting attacked here, has to burn the flash because 5 Mini.
Here comes Dr. Calculus.
Calculus will cut him down. That is the president down for Team Crimson side. Slayer, there is a Baron alive right now, and they feel confident enough to start this one. I have to feel like there is going to be a fight. I mean, they have to contest this. They can't give this one away, but what is the angle for them? They don't have hostile takeover. They don't have Fate's Call to save anyone. That equalizer really not going to find a lot of value, but at least it's going to force them away from that dangerous situation.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's going to have to be Crimson. You have to be a big equalizer angle and get a ton of damage with the Flame Spitter. The equalizer is good enough to stop the Baron take. I definitely thought there would be a full commit on that, especially with Ivern, so bit of a patient play from Team Calculus instead, but that is foreshadowing of what you're afraid of if you're Team Crimson. I don't care how fed your Callista is. This is a low-range champion that is getting deleted halfway off the screen. Sushi was in Fog hitting Scary Jerry down about 25% HP. And it's just going to keep happening over and over again if Team Crimson are not continuing to be proactive and constantly trying to make Sushi uncomfortable.
Exactly. That's it. You got to put pressure on him. You can't make him sit back and just toss away those artillery shots for free. There always needs to be that looming thought in the back of Sushi's head. Am I going to get ulted by Vi right now? Am I in danger of an Ahri flank? Is Utter going to charm me into my immediate death? Where is the Rumble? Is Crimson TP flanking me once again? Are these things around me? I need to play more safe. But if all that doubt is gone from Sushi's mind, I mean, it's open season. Look at that. Blue buff, ready to go. Seraph Embrace, infinite mana, and doing so much damage. The rest of the team is physical damage Slayer. So it's hard to also itemize into this Kog'Maw as well without sacrificing a lot, because we haven't talked a whole lot about how 5 Mini is slowly working their way up to the point they want to be in. As Kryra, you looked like you wanted to go in there, didn't commit the cease and desist. Also, Takeover's going to come down now, though, as jump away from 5 Mini, away from that equalizer is going to be good. Trigger Seed going to land onto Kim Down, has to flash away because Dr. Calculus has found the stun. Living Artillery going to force out the Fates Call. They're going on to Utter now, who's caught out. Doesn't have Spirit Rush to get away. Living Artillery, one more shot will do the trick, but it's going to miss. He's still fishing for it, is Sushi. Zyko is going to drop so close. There are thin margins in this team fight.
These are the fights that give us casters goosebumps, where it's just a couple of skill shots that define them.
They're jumping onto 5 Mini. They can't quite find the damage, though. Into the cease and desist he goes. He has to get one more auto attack off the Buster Shot. That gives him enough peel. Slayer, they don't get their prize.
I was worried about that turn because it's starting to get a bit desperate from Team Crimson. You saw their ults aren't as sync together. The only time they really were able to sync some really good ults together was Crimson's equalizer placement. Once the hostile takeover forced everybody to one side, he drops the equalizer down to make sure it burns 5 Mini. But the gotcha moment is becoming truer and truer by the minute. Will's Iron Shields are becoming pesky. You saw it twice for 5 Mini. Saves him from the burn on the Rumble ultimate and is the reason why Kryra can't finish the kill on top of him. And we talked about it in game 1. It doesn't matter if there are 2 different marksmen. If you do not initially kill one of the Kog'Maw or Tristana and you let them ramp back up, they will just burn through your team front to back style. And that fight should have been a White Ferris if maybe 1 or 2 of those living artilleries from Sushi actually ended up landing.
You're really going to test the happy feet here of those key targets like Utter, like Scary Jerry. Can you deal the damage while also putting on a Dancing with the Stars performance dodge and all the barf that's flying from above the skies? It's a tough ask. It's actually really difficult to do this, but these players are pretty good at the game. And I trust at least Utter and Scary Jerry to at least be able to put on a solid performance here. And panic might be setting in for these players, though, because it's getting very difficult now. Like you're saying, Slayer, the shields from Will are getting so big. Their engages aren't working out the way they want to. What can they find? How do they solve this problem? There's a ticking time bomb in the composition right now. 3 items very soon for Sushi and 5 Mini, who's now started and completed those 2 items as well. They're going to have to muster up something quick. Again, the dragon stacking too, Soul, they can't force anything right now either.
This is the most fraud 5K gold lead I've seen in a game of League of Legends for sure. And you start to see Team Crimson recognizes it. They're going to get spotted on this Baron take. Remember, they have rend advantage with a Callista on any 50-50 smite. And maybe that's why they're trying to force this Baron down.
Calculus has TP, is going to utilize this. Crimson is already here, doesn't have to use the TP for himself, but Zyko is late to the party. Zyko is so far away, they have to engage right now, otherwise this Baron is going to go down. It's a great equalizer from Crimson to find the space they need. The hostile takeover from Kim Down is also really huge, but this fight's going to break out now. Safe. But Sushi is safe. 5 Mini is going to get engaged. Somebody's going to rocket jump over the wall, but the onslaught of red health bars is going to continue. Jerry flashes forward, knocked back with the Buster Shot. Sushi running for his life. You called it a fraud lead. They took that personally because Team Crimson, they're not out yet.
Another beautiful hostile takeover. Sushi is playing with fire. His health bar is so low, but he knows he has the range. Can he hit the shots? Oh my god, Scary Jerry's behind him.
He's getting flanked. He can't find it. This is a really precarious situation for the Kog'Maw. Calculus, you got to do the Shigenda impression there with the cannon weave through the towers. Can't do it. Too fat on the Renekton. And Scary Jerry finishes him off here. Oh, that's a trade though. Boom! Gets that kill.
Oh man, the real difference maker is the confidence and another just beautiful hostile takeover. Renata lives and dies by these jungle ultimates. And Kim Down, you know, at the very least, make sure that Will can't even go for a 50-50 or try to beat the Rend. Their fleeting hope was a living artillery shot, but with everyone's eyes on that Baron, you were able to get a good engage on a Sushi and 5 Mini.
Slow lands, but that's a lot of movement abilities here from Utter, but not the 4th one in the flash available. Zenith Blade connects. 5 Mini scoops in to grab that one. That's a good pick here to slow it down from the side of Team Calculus.
Here's the response. Crimson with that grub take as well. Just so good on his Rumble. He played it last game, went 7-0-8. He's deathless once again in this one so far. Just always seems to be in the right place at the right time. What impresses me most about Crimson on some of his champions is he is so good at recognizing when to teleport in to help his team or when it's best for him to just continuously give them side lane advantages. It's the small things that help build a gold lead like the one you're seeing now, approaching 9,000. There is nothing fraudulent about this gold lead, Ferris.
No, there is not. I also want to applaud Crimson once again. Deathless. Okay, not trying to cast a curse. I'm going to recognize the caster curse now so it doesn't actually go through. Deathless in the first game. Deathless in this one. He plays a very mean game, able to be impactful in fights like you're talking about, Slayer, but also doesn't really make these critical mistakes where he's getting picked off, giving away his bounty, and not able to arrive for his team when the fight matters. He's been a really standout performer, honestly, in the top side, at least in the last couple of 3 blocks here, especially from yesterday when he performed so well. Tier 2s are falling for Crimson, or sorry, Calculus's side. Soul Point's gonna go their way. Okay, 5-minute timer, Slayer. That soul's going down soon. And if they can't mount a defense by that point, then it might just be all but lost.
Starting to see the clear item advantages come out as well. Scary Jerry's at 4 items. Love the mob pickup into Sushi, who has routinely been the one deleting Scary Jerry's health bar from range. So that's a smart move. You've now got a 3-item Ari, 3-item Rumble. Those are both ahead of their particular lane partners. And the only reason Will is even with Kryra is because he's going support items. So I don't even know if that's really an item lead. We'd really say it in stats. It's probably pretty even. This is once again where Team Crimson at this point are now looking for the knockout blow. But it's still worth mentioning that it's not out of the question Dr. Calculus and his squad can come back. If they can keep Sushi and 5-Mini safe for long enough, they have the damage ramping up to turn these fights.
Well, Utter's going to start a playoff before they can even get into the defense. Sushi is going to go golden. It will only delay the inevitable. They kill off one priority target before they even start sieging that tower, and that's going to make this play all the more easier. The inhibitor is going to fall, and will they continue the play is the question. 5-Mini is still alive. It feels like half of them want to, half of them don't. They're pinging onto the waves. I think they're just going to retreat this one back. But excellent pick to crack the base.
That's exactly what you want from your Ari player, Utter. One charm to define his performance so far. And the inhibitor down. Kryra, though, wow.
Kryra's going in. This is 1 versus 4, bro. Are you sure you don't have much follow-up right now? But now the squad is here. Into the bailout he goes. It's not going to be enough. Scary Jerry's going to be pumped back. The satchel charge doesn't quite have the damage. 5-Mini's going to try and rocket jump forward to get that last auto attack off, but he can't get it. Zyko's joining the team, 1 HP. He's down for whatever. Daisy will fall. Scary Jerry's still alive. Crimson is on the side, too. They only lose 1.
Shout out support players, man. Kim down. I'm forgetting that. I believe it's is it the Mikhails or the log? Whatever gives your AD carry a cleanse.
It is Mikhails.
Just used it. Okay, Mikhails. I know what I'm doing. I just have to have the confidence.
You got it, Slayer.
Bails Scary Jerry out because he should have died like every single time, and luckily gets the cleanse, able to survive. It's a push and pull. My God,
Utter once again. They're TPing for this 2, Slayer. So I'm going to expect an equalizer to come down right now. That's a pretty good one there. Slows up 2. One more charm from Utter will seal the fate of one person, he decides, but maybe not, because Calculus is healthy enough to get away. And they pull the trigger again, this time unsuccessful in finding one.
Yeah, I mean, you're limit testing some of your combos here. Utter feeling confident after hitting his last big charm, but if you're Team Crimson, I don't think you fight without Kryra every single time, and he was on a reset. Double teleport, though. We see both solos join up for Team Calculus. They want to fight over this Baron. Gotta feel like giving up a Baron here is the game for Team Calculus.
Calculus is flashing forward. No mana on Utter. He's caught. He was not expecting this. This could be the play that brings them back here, as now they can walk towards the Baron. 5 versus 4. That is a huge player from Crimson's side that is now no longer going to be involved in this play. So is that going to be the difference maker in this 5 versus 4? They're looking for the Zenith play. They found Crimson. Can he go into the stasis quick enough? He can, but he's going in bailout. This will be another pick. This is heroic first. It was Calculus next. It was Zyko. Their initiations have been on point, and they want the purple worm as their prize.
Have to be very careful, though. Luckily, they've got 2 marksmen to burn this down, but Team Crimson are not letting up with their pressure. They're shoving a mid lane wave down with the supers and now looking to flank this. 3 versus 5. What a call here from Kryra.
It's ambitious, but Jerry is alive. Jerry has Guardian Angel. What can they make happen here? The Baron will probably go their way. They might just be able to get out if he steals it, and he does! They might just be able to take the fight immediately afterwards, but Fate's Call is going to usher Jerry out of this one, but Utter is here with the teleport. They're on to Sushi. This Callista is unleashed. He's going to get his second kill of the fight. Sushi's going to be next. 5 versus 3. They do the impossible. They steal the Baron. They win the fight. They might just walk right down and try and end this one, Slayer.
Yeah, Ferris, they've got Baron. They've got the supers under Nexus turrets. Utter's ushering in the next wave. It's only Dr. Calculus for at least another 20 seconds. Doesn't even have Dominus either. Scary Jerry's got to get with Utter. They can just shove this wave in. They should be able to at least get the Nexus turrets or more.
Charm is going to land on the Calculus. Slice and dice away, but your Nexus towers are falling, dude.
That's it.
That last arcane jewel, it's the only one left. They're taunting you under your fountain. I think rightfully so. The performance from both Scary Jerry, even Utter finding the clutch engages was good. And Team Crimson once again finds success here in the final 3 block of the Path2Pro Combine.
That was just absolutely gutsy play call. I don't know who in those comms called for it. I assumed it was Kryra. It certainly could have been Kim down. Even Scary Jerry, whichever one of those 3 was like, all right, we just lost our giga strong Rumble and our mid laner. Thought that they could contest a Baron 5 versus 3 like that. I mean, whew, the confidence you have to go for a play like that is one thing, and to make it work out, that Baron was below 4K. I don't think Kryra knew what the health bar was until he basically ceased and desists in to go for the steal, and with all that chaos, you called it out, Ferris, this was still a stupidly fed Callista that was able to just hop around everywhere. But while Callista was the one to win the fight, I still got to think that Baron steal is what won them the game, because I don't think they win getting those Nexus turrets down, getting Dr. Calculus off the wave if they didn't have the purple banner that Kryra just ripped right from under Team Calculus.
You're absolutely right. It's clutch from different people here on Team Crimson. The Baron steal, the damage being dealt, the shot calling too. It might have been Scary Jerry who went for that call. I know Alt Battery spends a lot of time in the comms there, and he said that Jerry is a pretty vocal person, despite being a carry who's not necessarily making those plays. So it could have been him to make that call. I'm fed. I'm on Callista. I got Guardian Angel. They just used a whole bunch of stuff to take out some people on our team. Let's get going. It's always the most cinematic things in League of Legends are the unexpected plays. There's no way they can win that 3 versus 5 and steal the Baron and end the game right there. It can't happen, can it? And then it does. And then you just sit back and you appreciate this game, Slayer, as you and I were during that cast, because boy, that was entertaining, and what a privilege it is to watch these types of players be able to perform in wonderful combines like this. We have one more game though, so that's the good news. We can see potentially another one like that to close it out. And after this short break, they're going to reassess with their coaches. We are going to bring that to you. So don't go anywhere. There's going to be another banger like this, locked and loaded, ready to go when we come back.
16 whole days, some with multiple 3-game blocks, and it's all coming down to this final game, at least on stream for the Path2Pro Combine. The first phase is about to come to a close. This is the final match before the last 10 are selected to go to LA. Myself and Ferris will be taking you through it. We've swapped sides one more time. The 2-0 Team Crimson squad is back on the blue side, and the same draft parameters are still available, but I suspect we might get a little more goofy, as we tend to do on the last of these blocks, or at least from what I've seen, Ferris. Not very goofy B1, though. Skarner, still very powerful. Gonna lock that one in, likely for the side of Kryra.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good unique pick if you're going to go for one outside of the parameters of champions. Ivern is banned, of course. I don't think the real ban is the Fizz or the Fiddlesticks, so we're not going to see an Ivern in this game. Skarner is really OP, man. Like, still, through the small nerfs and changes, this champ is really strong, so opening B1, pretty good for the side of Team Crimson. Now, Ashe is available, Slayer. I want to see an Ashe game. I think it's just OP. Again, might get a little crazy here with what we do end up seeing, as it is that end of the 3 block. But there's the Ashe. It's good. Pair it with the Rumble. Equalizer goes down. Pick potential through the roof there for Sushi, who's had pretty good performances on it. So I'm liking what I'm seeing.
The draft trend from the qualifiers that now seem very far away was, if you don't ban Ezreal and Ashe into Sushi, he will just pick whichever one you leave up. So very attuned to his champion pool. Glad that we got Calculus on his Rumble, because Crimson is known in the Tier 2 scene for his Rumble. Calculus is known in the Tier 3 and qualifier circuit for his as well. As we'll actually get the top laners swapping the Game 1 matchup. So Crimson will be on the Cassante. Calculus will be on the Rumble. And we also have a bit of swapping going on, as Scary Jerry will play the Ziggs. We did see Sushi play that one in game number 1. Do want to quickly point out before I let you go here, Ferris, the other adaptation. Remember, one phase of the draft is only allowed to have one ban. It seems these two teams have chosen the first phase this time around instead of the second phase like we saw a game ago.
Yep, so they're really prioritizing those first 3 picks. The Sejuani going to be the lock-in here now for Will. And that pairs nicely with the Rumble. Very, I say, beefy draft so far. We got Sejuani, we got Skarner, we got Cassante. Now, this leads me to think, now, DPS options for Team Crimson side. I'm looking towards the mid lane, as that support pool is still open for Utter. You can go a Tristana here. That's still up and available. Yone, maybe. Actually, no, they can't go the Yone, because that is a unique pick, unless they're allowing 2 of those. I don't think the Ahri would be a wise choice here, because they already have all that magic damage on their side with the Ziggs lock in for the Zeri, or the Scary Jerry, not the Zeri, Scary Zeri. A lot of Aries in this one, but I'm thinking maybe something like the Tristana. More engage on top would be pretty nice. I know that Zyko does like that Rakan, and so that would be pretty good supplementary engage for the Sejuani.
Zyko, very familiar with the Rakan, like you talked about. Basically, Surefire wraps up all your engage on Team Calculus, if you're, in my mind, enabling Five Mini to really go maybe comfort here. They also have only selected champions in the restraint pools, so we'll see what the coaches decide to go with, and maybe allow, Five Mini to break out something outside of the restraints to have some fun here. Can't really do that if you're Team Crimson, because you selected the Skarner into the jungle there for Kryra, so that puts Utter on the Tristana, a champion we saw Five Mini already play this time round. And what does the lock-in look like for Kim Down? If he wants to stick in the pool, it's going to likely be the Leona. So Leona Tristana is... the Leona Ziggs is going to be a combination once more here, Ferris, as we wrap up this block.
It is. What a time we live in now, where we see the Tristana and the Ziggs, and we don't even think twice. Tristana's in that mid lane, and Ziggs is down there in the bot side. So they prioritize more engage, which I think is smart from Team Crimson's side, because they don't have a whole lot of that. They could have opted into disengage like the Braum or Renata that's available in the pool, but they still need something to start a fight that isn't necessarily the Ixtal's impact. That's a Hui lock-in, I think, confirmed. So there's a unique pick for Five Mini. Now, not something we see a whole lot in the last week was the Hui. has that long range, can follow up with Severing Bolt, along with Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and these types of abilities, Glacial Prison as well. Solid disengage tools too, with the fears and everything away from things like the Leota and the Skarner. So Phi Mini taking the comfort in this one, and interested to see if they can find a bit more of an impact that they had, because I felt like they were a little quiet in game 2 on the Tristana.
Whereas as the caster designated carrier players, I'm sure you share the sentiment from me that I'm just generally not a fan. I'm a marksman purist. There's still a part of me that gets angry watching mages
Oh yeah,
locked in the
me too.
bottom lane. Yeah, but I will say, when you do get mage v mage matchups, this is going to be very intriguing to watch, because I believe Ziggs and Hui as AP carries, their trajectory is eerily similar. How they want to go about the mid game, or the early game, the mid game, and the late game. On top of that, their range is very similar. The real differences may be that there's a bit more damage on the Ziggs and a bit more mobility maybe with the Satchel Charge versus Hui, who does bring a bit more crowd control to the party. But very similar style of champions. Should be fun to see between our two AD carry matchups.
Yes, absolutely. And
oh wait,
yeah,
I just got the Ashe is going to the bottom lane. You know what? My point's like
good.
half there.
It is
They're
half
still
there.
gonna be fighting each other.
It's mage at the very least. They will interact with each other, Slayer. You got it, my man. It does hold true. Yeah, and it's on to, it's more cut and dry for the Ziggs. You're just dealing damage, you're throwing the Mega Inferno Bomb on an engaged Hui. You might start things off with a fear, you might chuck that Spiraling Despair into a whole bunch of people to get mass damage, utilize that utility in different ways, help retreat with your team movement speed and shields. Kind of akin to, like, I always picture this champion like the Aphelios of mages, where you can get a whole bunch of different play styles going with this champ, and there's a lot of diversity here. And Phi Mini, I think, has to have a pretty solid performance on this, because it's not so easy to be able to find the immediate value there if you're not on point with this pick. So again, lots of pick potential for the red side draft here. That is Team Calculus. And on the other side, kind of just the scaling game once again. You got beefy frontline. K'Sante a little bit nerfed on this patch, and Topho strike damage is down. The dash, though, from the footwork is a little bit quicker to help catch up, I read in the patch notes. But still, nonetheless, they're scaling up. They're ready to go. They want that same blueprint that they had in game 1.
This is the first of the 3 games where there are stark similarities in compositional structure. Even if, it's not going to be the Tristana versus the Ashe and the Hui versus the Ziggs, it still holds true for outside of lanes. We have, engage-oriented junglers, engage-oriented supports, 2 marksmen involved that will sort of scale up as this game goes on. Their range is powerful. The range and damage of the 2 mages involved is certainly apparent. The one difference really is going to be this K'Sante versus Rumble, but Ferris, it definitely feels like this game, compared to the last 2, might get a little crazy and maybe a little more bloody, because I feel like both teams kind of want to play fights similarly. There's not a lot of push and pull to the side lanes that we might have seen in the last couple of games, or, death ball front to backing versus flanking that we saw in game number 1. I don't know if you share the same sentiment, but I think these two compositions want to play very similar styles of League of Legends.
I think I absolutely agree. The only real side lane champion I can identify here is maybe Tristana, if Phi Mini Utter wants to get going there, and Tristana does an excellent job of knocking down the towers. But even around the early game fights over the grubs and stuff, and the previous one, it was very much that Team Crimson had the advantages. They were the ones that were going to take control, probably get those ones over. I could see it going either way, especially if both teams are hungry for those objectives. It could also be a dragon too. Like, things are going to be bloody, the fights might be close. It's going to come down to, does this arrow hit from Sushi onto the right target? Can they follow it up? Is the Rumble level 6 yet? What value can Dr. Calculus Rumble get over the K'Sante too? Because this is the first Dr. Calculus Rumble that we've seen. It's been Crimson that's been playing it so far, and Calculus, like you mentioned earlier, knows this champion very well. So let's see how they pilot it. Maybe the lane won't get ruined by lane swaps, and we can actually see him have his shot on a champion that he very much enjoys.
Ferris, you and I are very used to game 3s of blocks getting a little bit wacky, getting a little bit silly, but maybe this one will be a bit different, as this is the final public viewable match of the Cydo.GG Path2Pro Combine, the last match of phase 1 of 3, where after this, 5 more of these players will round out the 10 going to LA. They will eventually narrow down to even 5 less, the boot camp in Korea. We are going through the spec delay, so we're going to take a very short break. And on the other side, our final match, viewable by the public, of the Path2Pro Combine. Live from Summer's Rift for one final time. Path2Pro Combine. Thank you, Saito.gg. Let's see if Team Calculus can get one win of this block, even if winning isn't too important. We might just get the shenanigans that I expected.
Psycho, no.
3. Level 1, Psycho. There are 5 friends in that brush waiting for you, and the Ignite will get it home here. First blood over to Kim down. He wants more. He forces the flash and cleanse out of Sushi, who is going to be without both those key summoners on that Ashe. And I will take a moment to scold Team Crimson, as they obviously were not in order in the Champion Select draft, because the left side of the screen is throwing me the hell off.
They maybe they're just they're just changing it up. They got the Ziggs Triss bot lane, the Smite Skarner mid. Maybe it's the new tech. Hey, we said we were going to get a little goofy on the third game, but maybe not that goofy as they're now, thankfully, by our wonderful producer Chippy, all back in order, ready to go. And Zyko once again falls in the level 1 there, face checking that brush. Wasn't too happy to see all those people there. And the first blood, though, goes to Kim down, so maybe not as valuable as Team Crimson would want, and Team Calculus might be very happy about that, as we're going to see once again, it's Scary Jerry tag teaming with Crimson in the top lane, Kim down and Utter in the mid lane as well. Let's see how this unfolds. Is it going to result in any dives? Is Calculus, or actually it was Crimson last time who didn't get his experience, is the Rumble going to get their experience? I will see, as maybe we'll find out in a couple minutes time, as we've got another pause rolling through.
I'd like to see punishing Tsushi and Zyko, as they had to burn all 4 of those summoners. Obviously, Zyko dying, but Ashe already pretty immobile. Rakan, obviously would like to have flash. So you got a Leona, maybe not with a Ziggs. It's a little tricky with Ziggs and Skarner, but Skarner has unique gank paths. This is a clear way to kind of bolster up a lead you already are starting to garner. And we talked about how important it would be in a game like this because of how similarly constructed these two comps are, as we find out the culprit of the pause, Kryra having internet issues.
Peter Parker. It's him. DCing. It's him, that man, that Spider-Man. Hopefully Kryra gets that all resolved very soon. But yes, no sums on that bot lane. That's an important target to look for. Right now, they got their alone time here, bot side. I assume the teleport will roll on through from Crimson to collect that one on up. Will is probably pathing down to the bot side with the top side clear too. Not sure. It depends on how slowly they push that wave, if he'll be able to make it in time for any type of dive play, or if Kryra will just wait around here in the bot side to actually stay and make that counter play happen. But a good punish onto Sushi and Zyko would definitely be good in the whole blueprint here and for the Crimson side. The question is, can they really do it? And if they do end up doing it, that would be great to shut that Ashe down, because she wants to be able to control that lane phase, and that's kind of the way she likes to play it. But she still has that playmaking potential all throughout the game.
I do like the lane assignment shenanigans level 1, 2 for a comp that can run this triple teleport. So you can actually have a lot of people answer the bot wave with this teleport. Doesn't necessarily, it's probably gonna be Crimson like you're calling, Ferris, but it could also just be Scary Jerry if you wanted to. You can maybe even shift down with Utter moving down. Having triple teleport is pretty powerful, as we will bring you all back to the caster desk here. It looks like a blue screen is what is causing the issue, so PC frying out's never fun. It might be a bit more extended of a pause than earlier anticipated.
Yeah, so a little bit of extra time while Kryra boots in. And yeah, I mean, the conclusion here, we get to talk about it a little more, the Path2Pro Combine, starting it out. It's been pretty fun covering all these matches here. You and I have both had a couple there, Slayer, getting to see these players really bring it out and fight for those spots to get unique opportunities in Los Angeles, South Korea. It's their last game to show out on the main stage, last game to really convince some people that you deserve to be there. And I'm sure they've got some people in mind as well. Yeah, so yeah, we are in that pause. Kryra hopefully going to be coming back soon as well. And we're going to see, yeah, who can be able to get on top here in this one.
Very happy that we've been able to be a part of this. I am most happy for the players, obviously, though. I think I've gotten to see a couple of combines. Every combine has their issues, but I've been very impressed by how on top the, analysis, coaching, situation has been.
Yeah.
You know, reviewing these games right after they happen. You know, sometimes having those coaches in the comms to help you out. I think it's really valuable for all players, but especially as myself and Ferris are very tier 3 grounded as casters. Like, we got a couple of tier 3 guys that have been very impressive. We talked about a lot. Even if we don't see like Udder, 5 Mini, you know, 2 guys in this game, maybe even like Sushi, not really necessarily. Dr. Calculus still is in our wheelhouse. Not like get the chance to go to LA, which is already unfortunate. I still think it's just such, it's been so valuable. Even like as casters watching them, we've seen the value, how these players have been able to adapt over this 2.5-ish weeks of this combine.
And we can see, you know, the growth that happens. It can be so fast. You can be here in tier 3, and then in a year and a half, you could be in the LCS or now the LTA North. So that, I mean, you've seen it, the meteoric growth. The easiest example is Masu, that had a fantastic rookie season playing in the NACL, and then all of a sudden you're contesting the best teams in the world in the quarterfinals. And it starts with combines like this. Again, even if you don't make it to Los Angeles, the value that you've gotten, the knowledge that you're able to receive from these coaches, it's going to build, and it's going to really level up the tier 3 and 2 scene and rise up a whole new generation of players. So the importance here is fantastic. And so if you are one of those like players inside of these combines, the good thing to take away is what you've really learned, and not necessarily base it on results. And there's always things to take into your games and Aegis Champions League and into the NACL and things like that. So the value is just absolutely incredible for them.
Value might be tenfold as well now that we know with the LTA, so I have to get used to not saying LCS all the time. With the fact that we have this new, you know, America's conferences, it really has opened up a lot of direct paths to tier 1. A couple more. The very obvious one is there is now the direct promotion from tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 1. There's obviously that guest slot that DSG is now holding at this point. But even the fact that like rosters have expanded a bit more, where we've seen a couple, you know, the biggest example I have is I know a lot of CBLOL fans are big on I believe it's Seos. I hope I'm not butchering the support player's name for Brazil, but he just got put on Shopify Rebellion, if I'm not mistaken. You know, you can also, we're going to see that maybe from NA players transitioning to LATAM. I'm sure not every LATAM team is speaking Portuguese or Spanish. I'm sure we're going to start seeing English start to flow together, especially with them having some Korean imports. There's so many opportunities open, so we don't even know what the tier 3, tier 2 pipeline is going to look like, but I would assume it's going to be decently open like it's been the last couple of years. It's a big time for some of these really young players that are in this combine to try and have a meteoric rise that could be easier than what it was for guys like Masu, like you were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. You always want to make it easier and easier. And I think the performances, at least because we're here in the North American scene, that they've had internationally, that we've seen, wow, this is the value of doing things like this, and this is what it can mean. So it opens the door for things like this. And now I think the new announcement of the LTA, all those new opportunities for players, it's fantastic. Love being here, man. I love casting these types of things. It's actually my first combine that I have casted, so really fortunate to be here doing all that stuff. So it's a good time. I mean, we utilized that pause pretty well to kind of appreciate what's been going on in the scene recently. But Slayer, we're right back into the game. Hopefully, Spider-Man's PC, we holding on together. You can use some webs to fix it all up if he has to.
Gotta get those as many Spider-Man puns in as you can with the last game. Like to see it. Classic Riot bug, over and done with. You get 2 pauses for the price of 1. But we'll start to see now what the real lane assignments will look like. Kim Down, for Team Crimson in particular, Kim Down is rotating through, but doesn't seem like anyone's going to join Sushi. I like this adaptation from Zyko, deciding to get out on the map here. A clean reset can come across for Sushi, and it will be Crimson teleporting down to catch the wave.
He's going to be picking that XP up. No threat of losing too much there either. And it is Calculus who's yet to pick up now, but with that stacked wave rolling on through there, that Scary Jerry's Australian should be all good with this one. And of course, Zyko there to cover any type of shenanigans that go down. But wait a second here. We're seeing something develop, Slayer, on the minimap, and we're seeing it right now.
Calculus only relying on slow. Zyko does not get the Grand Entrance knock-up and Kim down nearby, so don't know if Calculus... it doesn't seem like he lost too many minions for that escapade, but you did talk about it. It was a stacked-up wave from Scary Jerry, and he'll continue to usher as many under that turret as possible. Rumble, not the best at farming under turret, especially with the Ziggs just throwing these, I'm going to call them honey balls at him constantly over and over again.
Honeycombs, you could say. It's like the cereal there. He's just chucking a couple of those over there. They're lethal.
They're not as sweet as the honeycombs you're talking about, though.
No, apparently not. Exactly. And being on the end of them on the rift, too. Not a very a sweet thing to take on, but we got an isolated lane from Sushi and Crimson. And this is always, we've seen this a couple times. Cassante into the Ash. This is horrible. He's like, man, just trying to hit a couple of these minions, bro. Give me something. He can't handle it. Kryra is here, Slayer. Let's see. I don't know. This would be pretty risky. I talked about how dives really haven't been the best showing from these teams in these games in the Combine, so this would definitely be the risky one to go for, and I think Kryra is going to recognize this.
Don't hate the look, because Kryra is actually the highest leveled person of anybody in that top side, with the fact that everyone's been doubling up for lanes and missing their XP. Was level 4, but will instead decide to path down towards this dragon, it seems like. Grubs not too far from hitting Summoner's Rift, but Kryra more content playing towards the bot side here. And with those teleport prowesses, you can see the Team Crimson can stay a lot more active on the map. Utter and Crimson able to teleport to cover, and Scary Jerry can still teleport at any point if he wants to. Doesn't feel like he has to now with a wave stacking up for him into Calculus.
It's been a pretty slow start to this game. There hasn't been many things that have been reached by either of these teams. No plays that they've gone for. They're really just taking it easy. They're making sure that they allocate, I guess, as much XP as they can to their targets. It's always the mid laners, though, that get exempt from all this, sitting inside of their lanes and farming it away. Now objectives are on the map. We see a 2v1 developing here with both Scary Jerry and Kim down grouping up in the top side. The same mirrored type of thing here. So both top laners, I mean, they're just suffering in this one. And I guess they really want to avoid the lane, though, in the 2v2, but I don't really see a necessarily clear advantage, so this might just be the way that things have shaped up naturally.
Someone's got to break down those natural walls that have come up from these lane assignments. I believe the Grubs are going to be the culprit to do so. Dr. Calculus really wants to get this last reset over before the Grubs spawn. He does have teleport to get back towards this lane, but definitely want to get a recall off before any Grubs escapades start. Can see, though, Dr. Calculus' team certainly want to play for those Grubs the way they are all racing up to the top side.
They definitely do. They have all 5 here, but they're committing Calculus' TP bot lane, and now 5 mini.
Whoa! 5 mini brings Kim down under the turret, but it's still not enough to assuage first blood. Goes over to Utter, who gets the hop reset. Won't be able to burn through Will's health bar just enough. Trade of kills, a happy trade you want on the top side. Hello, wide right goes Sushi. And Scary Jerry able to jump out away without his ultimate, but I think that one key pick and Will's not healthy amount of HP means the Grubs will go over to Team Spider-Man.
Yeah, Team Spider-Man, they were the benefactors. They got the Grubs here. That was just a little odd. I thought, with sending everyone up there, they were gonna contest it. Was Crimson's side, Calculus's side, but Calculus just said, hey, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go chill on the bot side while my mid laner unfortunately gets picked off. So the Grub advantage is there. The Drake's still alive, so could still be on the cards for Team Crimson to start taking all of these objectives. And they do have that kill in Utter's pocket to accelerate him towards that first item. And the no magic mantle, though, in the inventory might just mean it's going to be that early Merc Treads to survive all that extra range that is 5 mini on the way.
So to see how Utter builds his Tristana versus 5 mini. Last game we saw 5 mini go for the Collector early, the Navori Quick Blade, Flicker Blades, so used to them being called Quick Blades, which was a lot more like burst oriented. Utter has the pickaxe, might be going for a similar build or might just rush this Maw, but there are a couple paths you can go with Tristana in the mid lane if you want to lean more burst or scale oriented.
And Zyko's going to find Kim down sitting here inside of the brush. They're fighting for this vision around here. Ixtal's impact from Kryra away. I feel like both teams are thinking about Ocean Drake right now. They just don't know if they have the right conditions to actually go for this, as they know that Kryra is here in the bot side. Will gonna try and make his way after the Raptor clear down here too. They're just fighting for control. They're fighting for vision, maybe waiting for the right opportunity to make a play onto someone who is unsuspectingly walking into danger. But Calculus's squad, they have the setup that they need. Look at that vision control inside of the pixel brush as well. Maybe trying to attack that control ward in the tri brush from Scary Jerry and Kim down, but they just feel they're good enough to start this one up, as that is exactly what they're going to do.
Will has spotted the trinket in the pit, but oh, he dropped the pink ward for it actually. So he is spotted starting this dragon, maybe trying to throw a bit of a ruse. Gets off of the dragon with Kryra nearby. Both bottom lanes priming for some poke. But good accomplice to give them off the dragon. Utter, though, that's Bound Despair is going to send you into a depressing gray screen. Will, Glacial Prison flashes down. Got to think he had a clutch engage there. So they don't get the dragon, but they get revenge for 5 mini.
It must have been Utter falling into a false sense of security, thinking, okay, I see the enemy jungler on the Drake. I can kind of relax here. You take your eye off the minimap for 1 second. Boom, the Sejuani is there, killing you inside of your lane. That's the opportunity that they're looking for. I feel like this is just going to be a full reset. They're going to head right back to the Drake, and this whole dance around, it's going to start all over again. But at the very least, they get that kill. First item for Will on his Sejuani, and Kryra is yet to reset here as well. So that's going to be a pretty big advantage with the locket in hand.
Arrow did not hit once again from Sushi, but still has a big damage advantage. Kim Down and Scary Jerry, both blinking health bars. So should be Will able to grab that dragon very much so now with the priority on the bot side. And I'm glad he went for something in the mid lane, because I was certainly worried if you don't take that dragon, you don't go for a trade for the first 3 grubs, pretty big loss. But now has the gold lead pretty stabilized. We'll grab that first drink. The only thing I worry about now is with the delayed timing, does Kryra just get at least 4 grubs stacked up for his side here?
That is going to be the question. Can he just beeline it down here? There's no one helping Will clear this Drake, so it's going down really slow. So by the time it's done, those grubs are going to be spawning right up. And it might just be 4 Void Mites, or sorry, not Void Mites, grubs and Void Mites unlocked for Crimson side. Very nice and easy. They have the push in top lane too. Scary Jerry has crashed that wave. Well, let's see now. Will is done with the Drake. He's going to start walking up here, I assume. They can't give away 6 grubs. That's just not what you want to see. And Kryra and the rest of the gang looking for something, because now we're going to see the dance around the second trio of grubs.
Teleport available for both 5 mini and Crimson. Those are the 2 champions on the bot side of the map as these grubs spawn. Sushi is trying to get the wave, pushing for the top side. Remember, no arrow is available. Kim Down is not level 6 yet as well, so there's no solar flare. 2 very critical missing ultimates if this fight decides to break out. So we have the other 2 sideliners walking up. The first grub secured by Kryra. It seems like Team Crimson might just be content with 1 Void Might, but they're still smacking away at the other 2 Jerrys. There's the engage coming across. Arrow comes back up, and they drop it all on Kim Down's head. That is not a priority target. Utter gets the hop reset, hops on back out to safety. Zyko, blinking health bar. Equalizer down from Dr. Calculus. Very much a big amount of damage. Cuts off the escape route and the re-engage angle for Team Crimson. And everybody's just throwing everything in the kitchen sink at each other. Will finally picks a priority target on the Crimson, trying to get the stun across. Back in goes Crimson, but he is going to fall. Kryra picks up the kill.
Calculus.
And now it's Dr. Calculus with the flame spitter. Gets 1, grabs a second with the shot from the E. Knocks down both the marksman and support for Team Crimson. Make it 3 for Team Calculus.
That's what you want to see from the Calculus Rumble. 2 kills in the fight. They can now have a better chance of grabbing these 2 grubs. It's still Kryra and Scary Jerry, though, chucking those honeycombs around, those bouncing little bees, and trying to get something out of this. They're still going for it, Slayer. They're TPing.
Yeah, Utter TP's in. Oh, it's actually a double TP. Crimson's here as well. Sushi sacrifices himself to the Wolves. They were able to grab the last 2 grubs Team Crimson, or Calculus was. But it does come with a bit of a price, a bit more gold to just try and stabilize this lead. Only about 1,000 in favor of Calculus' side.
I think they're still happy with the way that went. Sushi, no flash. Unfortunate, couldn't get out of the pit, but you had to be around to still deal the necessary damage to clear those grubs before the cavalry arrived. The double TP could have been dangerous for them, but they get out and take a look at the gold. Actually, gonna see who is really in the driver's seat in these matchups. He's still got a 400 gold lead here on the way for Phi Mini. So time to actually get some damage done here. The Spiraling Despair was pretty big in the previous fight as well. So the Hui could have value. A lot of these fights are really clumped up, and especially with two frontline opponents, you could see the value from the Hui come through. But now I'm really looking towards what Calculus can get done on this Rumble. Can he kind of replicate what Crimson was doing in the two previous games?
Especially game one, right? In this exact matchup, Dr. Calculus wasn't able to find a lot of value. Calyx completed here for Crimson, though. Really like this purchase. It's a clear cut game to rush this Calyx into a Hui and Rumble. It's going to be very hard to kill Crimson, and that might be the real difference maker for his Cassante versus the game we saw from Calculus into the Rumble.
It certainly could be. We're seeing movement on the top side of the map here. Rift Herald coming up very soon. And so let's look at the items now. It's Luden's Companion completed for Scary Jerry. Not yet has the first item come through for Sushi. These item completions are important. Blackfire Torch done for the Hui. Collector not yet completed as Boots Rush came through from Otter. So, I mean, still waiting on that. Leandries, though, is Dr. Calculus. And it's priority right now for Team Crimson. They're looking pretty good right now on collecting this one, but they're just trading a little bit here, trying to find any type of ultimates forced out, any kind of HP advantage that they can get, which can bring them success here in this pretty pivotal fight that might follow this play.
Rift Herald doing her best prom queen impression with how much attention she's getting right now from both of these teams, but it is Kryra and Utter to start up the take. Teleport available for Dr. Calculus, like you mentioned, did not get a reset for a first item. Does he come through? Teleport will be channeled. Kim down, chunked to about 30% HP. Arrow once again wide from Sushi, does not find its target. Scary Jerry. Neither does the Spiraling Despair, but luckily Kim down was still not healthy enough. It's just miss an ultimate for free day, I guess, as Will whiffs the Glacial Prison. Equalizer, though, is really well placed from Dr. Calculus. Look how Scary Jerry is just trapped and marked for death by Zyko. Sneaks in and kills his Maryville teammate with ease, and down goes Kryra in the backside as well. It's once again Dr. Calculus's clutch equalizer to set up the fight for his squad.
The first portion of that fight for Team Calculus did not look so clean. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow went wide. The Spiraling Despair went wide. The Rift Herald was secured from Kryra while they were taking that away when Jerry was absorbing so much pressure, but they finally got cornered there around that Tri-Brush. A couple kills came through. That's going to give them a small gold lead here for Team Calculus. Once again, this Rumble doing pretty good job with that equalizer, getting it done in the fights. But now with that small grub advantage, they're going to try and make a play here. Let's see what the response is.
They want the first turret. Scary Jerry going to secure that for them as Kim down and Crimson go in, marking Dr. Calculus, but they don't get the kills because the rest of his team comes to back him up. Phi Mini, Zyko, and Will are the rescuers for the damsel in distress. There was Dr. Calculus, flash over the Severing Bolt, but Will smacks home Kim down. In comes Kryra, gets a huge Heartsteel proc, says, see you later, Zyko. But that in the turret is all Team Crimson will find.
That's a really good counterpunch from Team Calculus, and it just was not anticipated from Kryra's side. Phi Mini, where are you going, bro?
Oh, he did not have the vision to be in this real estate, my friend. Good fear, though, to send Kryra on the wrong way. Flash, though, off of Phi Mini. At least Sushi was able to win the Marksman 1v1.
Yes, he was. And that's Utter down. This Tristana falling, more kills to the Ashe. Sushi's Ashe, guys. This is a really powerful pick. Look at that scoreboard, to be honest now. And the gold lead that's ballooning. 3-1 for Sushi, 2-1 for Phi Mini. Will has 3 kills. Calculus is ahead. This is looking real nice for them as Zyko could be running into some trouble.
Rakan, pretty slippery. Able to drift back to Dr. Calculus, and Glacial Prison, not easy, not slippery, icy. Scary Jerry does not have flash. Dr. Calculus does. Flame Spitter, Rampage, Dr. Calculus. As the sticky, honey-soaked Scary Jerry sends his regards to the gray screen.
And with that, it is probably going to be Drake number 2, especially now that Crimson is teleporting topside, but he has a little bit more on his mind. He sees a very juicy Hui who's going to use a teleport of his own to get out of this situation. They're looking for him. They can't find him. Sneaky escape from Phi Mini. and that's just a teleport trade in the end, so it's not really that detrimental that you use it because the other side committed one as well. 4-0 now on Dr. Calculus's Rumble, ramping up ever more, and should just continue to find the advantage in the 1v1. Now going to knock down this tier 1. They have 2 Drakes in their back pocket. They're feeling good heading into this 20-minute mark.
Get their first turret down. Let Dr. Calculus start to cook on these side lanes because it's really hard to answer him. It's really just catching waves if you're Crimson or Utter, who has to keep his safety, excuse me. I'm curious to see how much punish may come towards these side lanes, but if you are Team Crimson, certainly far from out of this game. I feel like the 4 bounties tell a bit of a misleading tale. If you can get one really good synced fight here to knock all these bounties down, it's only about a 2,000, near 3,000 gold lead.
And I'm looking at that Impale from Kryra. Combine it with the Mega Inferno Bomb from Scary Jerry. That's a combination that's going to deal massive damage to all the squishy targets from the side of Team Calculus. So they just need that snap engage there as Sushi's found himself in some trouble.
Cleanses the first bit of CC from Kim Down, able to get back and turn it on its head. Kim Down feels the full might of the Freljord. Arrow, volleys, it all comes on down on the head of Kim Down, and Crimson now feeling a spiraling despair that does not feel too good. Flashing over the wall, will try to chase him down. Crimson's out, but that's one big front line. There was the equalizer. Look how it cuts off the escape route. Utter lucky to have the hop up, or he would have been doomed and dusted as the Severing Bolt says hell yes to another kill for 5 Mini. Crimson in with the all out. So many low health bars, but he can't get on top of any of those priority members. 5 Mini in his own 1v1 gets a clutch fear to the face of Scary Jerry. It was inches that made up miles for Team Calculus as they find 4 kills to nothing.
The initial engages.
Whoa!
Gonna get engaged on.
They really want the ace. This is a tank battle. How many Heartsteel procs do we get? 1 so far. Will is flashing away, dodging out on another good Zenith Blade. Herald down from Kryra. They'll let Will escape for now, but they push their luck a bit going for this turret. Kryra's about 25% HP inside of Shelly, and it's a well-timed knockup from Zyko. Make sure that the Skarner doesn't go anywhere, but back to Ixtal.
Will just, or sorry, not Will, Kryra. Wait, solo kill from Utter onto 5 Mini. Okay, man, the action does not stop. We had a slow game to start, and now the game is anything but slow. Kryra just said, man, I'm sending it. I don't care, guys. Back me up if you can. We're going in. We're getting this tower. Unfortunately, not able to get it. Kim Down wants more fighting here. It could be Zyko in trouble.
There's the classic Leona CC chain. Arrow back from Sushi's. He's trying to keep his support alive. There's a great Natofo strikes from Crimson.
Oh my
it's
gosh.
Sushi, but look behind you, Team Crimson, because Calculus has an absolutely measured flank. Burns through the entirety of Team Crimson back to front. And look what's on the Rift at 21 minutes for them to play for.
Slayer, this game just went from very close to a landslide within 2 to 3 minutes. It all starts at the play over at the Drake, and it's Sushi who escapes that initial engage way back then. They win that fight. They keep getting advantages. Kryra has that unfortunate play around the Herald. Now they look for another one, and every single play that Team Crimson goes for, maybe they used up all of their good luck there in the first 2 games because it doesn't seem that anything this time around is going their way. 7-1 on Sushi, and it is 6-0 for Calculus's Rumble. This has just been the golden pick in this 3 block.
There's not enough damage present in these fights right now. Scary Jerry is about an item and a half in, maybe, on this Ziggs. And the last couple of fights, remember, Utter was on the side lane with his 2-item Tristana. Does get a turret, does get a solo kill, but those are fleeting little silver linings. You can't win fights with a tank Skarner, tank Cassante, and a Leona as the real brunt of damage, especially in the attack damage area.
And when Scary Jerry is so far behind, been having a hard time on the Ziggs, both him and Sushi in their Ziggs games have had trouble finding the true value that they want, being able to win a lane and have all that time alone with the towers to poke and chip everything down, control fights with your abilities. It's just been chaos. Backlines have been dived, and you can't really rely on the collector Tristana to be able to pull out the necessary damage. At the very least, though, Utter, while this siege is happening on the top side of the map, is getting free time to hit onto this tier 2, gonna force the TP from 5 Mini. So it's gonna get that one out. But look at this Slayer. They're TPing down to the bot side. They might be looking to cut him off in the jungle.
Yeah, this is some 007 type work. Gonna have to come out from Utter. Picks a pretty good place to recall. Able to get away here. I thought Calculus was TPing for a mega flank, but he actually was just more attuned to shoving in a wave with his Baron. Good recognition on the wave patterns. Should be parking onto this tier 2 turret by now, and he has the full support of his team if they want to wrap onto this turret. Kim Down is trapped. Leona somewhat tanky, gonna be hard to burn through the health bar, or maybe I spoke too soon. Kim Down is certainly depleting fast. Psycho getting a couple good clutch charms on the backside of the fight to hold the re-engage in place. There goes Kryra, locked in by the Glacial Prison, Spiraling Despair combo. Those are circles of death onto the Skarner, and Dr. Calculus picks up a double kill. In goes Crimson, but is it too little too late? Because he loses all of his resistance. Utter back on the backside of the fight. You are all alone, my friend. Gets 1 kill with the Buster Shot, but that's another kill back over to Team Calculus, as they are looking for more than just an inhibitor turret on this push.
It feels like one by one they walk in to the entire team of Dr. Calculus's side, and they just get knocked down without much follow-up. Then it's forced to have Utter rocket jump into 4 people to salvage something, gets the shutdown onto Will, but that's just going to be a small consolation prize. Tier 2 and all those kills were locked up as Calculus unfortunately gets interrupted here, but should be able to just clear away those Krugs, get the Baron empowered recall, and hobble all the way back there to that Infernal Drake, which is definitely next for Team Calculus's side. 1 away from that Infernal Soul. 24-7 is the kill score. This has been bloody. You predicted it in the draft, Slayer. You're talking about how crazy this game could get. It absolutely has, but it really just is that one-sided, though, from Calculus's side.
Calculus and Sushi are showing a very fun demonstration of the differentiating power of positioning. Sushi, very masterful on a champion. He's very comfortable with his Ashe. Love how he's been able to kite back and turn on these engages towards his support and himself. And then Calculus positioning has been so incredible in the way he's been able to flank and set up these equalizing ultimates. And obviously their scores dictate how well they've been able to play. The one thing Sushi has been short on is finding these clutch arrows to hit, but still being such a threat for one of those stuns to mean the death of Scary Jerry.
We can see Utter taking the side lane approach now, as he also has Kryra here with him.
Impale, Dr. Calculus self-drops the equalizer over himself, and he just has too much damage to deal with. They try to go for the king, but if you don't hit the head, you are not finding success. It's just Kryra will find the trade on the Heartsteel prop, but does not get the Extal's impact through the terrain. Will fall to Sushi, who also goes legendary. 2 for 1, but at least Team Crimson grab a hearty shutdown.
They do. So at the end of the day, it's not really that bad for them in the end. And that is the first death of this 3 block for someone playing the Rumble. I do believe, unless I'm mistaken, Crimson went deathless. Crimson had 1 death? Okay. So
game, yeah.
2 deaths in 3 games. That's pretty good. These 2 players are so exceptional at Rumble. Excellent 2 versus 1 from Calculus. Unfortunately, yeah, losing that shutdown. Going to be good for the side of Crimson in the gold department, but they're looking to knock down the tier 2 and pretty much just even that up immediately as a fight might ensue after this.
Him down, trying to pull the luck of a solar flare as enough to knock the turret from staying up. Kim down though, a severing bolt from halfway across your screen. Look at the flick from Crimson though, he teleports in. Marks Will, goes all out. They're trying to get back towards Sushi in 5 Mini, but can Tristana get there in time? No, because a spiraling despair just nuked the entirety of Team Crimson.
Oh my gosh.
And the burn from the Blackfire Torch claims another on the way out. It may be too little too late for Team Crimson with the damage these 2 in the mid and 80 carry lanes are pulling out.
There is the power of the Hui. I was questioning whether 5 Mini could have a good performance on this champion. Was a little bit quiet in game number 2, but that was a statement fight for this player. Gets excellent value out of their ultimates and able to burn down the members of Team Crimson in that fight. They still hold on to their tier 2 tower though, does Team Crimson. So that injection of gold didn't go their way, but now with the Baron alive and a 8,000 gold lead for Calculus's team, they might just be able to start this one up and say, hey, Team Crimson, you guys come to us. You guys have to fight us now. Or they may just find Kryra right here.
Calculus has a Void Staff, and this arrow is going to find its mark from Sushi. A full Ash Arrow stun timer means Kryra is down, and you wanted a reason for a Baron take from Team Calculus. You just got it on a silver platter, Ferris.
That's about as golden and perfect as it gets. No jungler, you're up a whole bunch of golds. There's really nothing in your way from taking this. There's no counterpunch for Team Crimson. They can't run and take a Drake. They don't have waves to go push down a tower. They're just forced to sit here and say, maybe we can pull out the odd advantage fight that was Team Crimson, who pulled that out in the previous game, which was an absolute banger, but not able to replicate that type of performance, especially with Dr. Calculus breathing down their neck here in the bot lane. But Slayer, a lot of people converging on him. Can he get out of this one?
I don't think so. He can't pull the teleport gimmick into a Tristana or Cassante, so Calculus is going for his great escape, dodges at least one stun, trying to get the speed up. Do run away, just stalling time is level 16, overcomes Scary Jerry. Calculus is willing to sacrifice himself for the success of his team, and they will grab an inhibitor on the top side off the back of his death.
So it's inhibitor, that's perfect. It really already lost his shutdown, so not giving a intense or crazy amount of gold over to the other side. Now they can work with super minions flowing in. They can split their pressure on the map if they want to. They can look to brute force something. They have 50 seconds until a potential Infernal Soul comes their way as well. But they have to be careful of Slayer because this is 5 versus 4.
This is Crimson's angle to go for a fight with his team here. The Impale gets onto Sushi, cleanses it, eats the entire might of the Ziggs, and Crimson goes all out to execute him. Big bad number 1 down. 5 mini gets insect by the Tristana into the rest of Team Crimson. Flashes over, but Utter, maybe with the ticking of the bomb, finds the kill. Is it enough? Yes! Shut down to Utter. Team Crimson turn a inch into a mile in a clutch team fight when they needed it most.
That was just so unnecessary from Calculus's team. It's 4 versus 5. They found the pick onto your Rumble. You traded the inhibitor. That's good. Now you wait for him to respawn and just play the Infernal Drake. You don't take your risk on the 4 versus 5 play. Psycho's gonna drop 2. They're gonna be able to grab this one now, Slayer, and that is more time for them to get back into this game, more time for Tristana to work towards Infinity Edge, for Ziggs to get to that 4th item, finish the Seraph's Embrace. This is a huge blunder now from Calculus's side. They're still in a really good position, but any more plays like that, and we could be seeing probably the comeback of the Combine here.
You gotta think too, right? If they just reset there, down a man, they don't try and force on their Baron wave in, they get 5 strong to get Calculus back, and then they have free reign over that river to set a vision, but unlucky timing for Team Calculus after the miscalculation, unintended. Team Crimson not only strike for the shutdowns, the turret bounty gold, the dragon bounty, but most importantly, stalling that Infernal Soul that would have just sent this Hwei and Ash damage to the moon.
And they can look for it in the next couple minutes, but they have to wait that timer. All that time, it's going to be Team Crimson who's getting stronger, like I was mentioning earlier. And what is their play now? They can start the siege on 2 lanes. They're going to get constant push with those super minions. It looks like Will is just trying to get onto Utter in the side lane. They're committing a TP for it too, but it looks like Utter's actually going to be safe. But we'll see how it plays out.
Oh, but Hwei damage can come from a million miles away. Utter able to limp away. Another teleport channel from Crimson. Looking for the engage on the Calculus. Does have to expend the flash. Psycho getting heralded on the other side as well. Both him and Will not too healthy. Will, though, able to get right on top of that Warmogs and watch his health bar just go all the way back up. Meanwhile, Sushi does sneak away with that mid lane inhibitor turret. So a lot of showing of the fangs, but no real bite from both of these teams.
No fatal bite at the very least. They're walking away with scratches and wounds, but they'll lick those up and heal on up inside of their fountain. Resets are going to come through. Another potential scary play for Team Calculus's side. They almost over-aggressed for Utter and lost a couple members there. I think if that key CC went on to Calculus, he unfortunately was able to flash away, landed onto him, he would have been dead, and then maybe more could have been achieved from Team Crimson's side. But fortunately, they did knock the inhibitor tower, so that inhibitor is exposed. They can still play for this. Only 1 inhibitor tower remains, and they should probably work towards safely as a group if they want to knock down those inhibitors to make plays happen. Enchanted Crystal Arrow goes wide. Zyko still wants it.
Damn, Scary Jerry's juking every ult out. Doesn't get stunned by the Glacial Prison, doesn't get knocked up by Zyko. Scary Jerry's still alive on the side, but with him on the back foot, Sushi and 5 Mini step up and burn through the entire tank line. There's shutdown galore, snipe out from Dr. Calculus onto Scary Jerry. Crimson's trying to do it all in the all-out form, but he's out of damage, he's out of friends, and he's out of space to create. Zyko and Will are going to hunt after him with Dr. Calculus's Flame Spitter. Will be able to finally grab this kill. They will. It's all left onto Utter, who's trying to desperately retreat with Kryra, but all of Dr. Calculus's squad is here. They have the wave. Is this the knockout blow to end phase 1 of the Path2Pro Combine? It's looking like it with Kryra's health bar depleting. Next is turrets, next to fall. Utter is going to have to do absolute heroics, but he chomps on an arrow to the face, and Dr. Calculus' team will get revenge on the block. They end it with their first win to wrap up phase 1 of the Seto.GG Path2Pro Combine.
The knockout punch for Team Calculus connects, and Team Crimson will fall to the canvas. What a game, and what a response from them after taking those 2 losses prior to Team Crimson. They showed good resolve after the plays didn't necessarily go their way. And from pretty much the early game, they had complete control. They got kills where they wanted it. 11 for Sushi. Dr. Calculus with 13, an incredible performance on the Rumble. They had some really nice setup with the arrows and the flanks from Zyko and also from Will, who had a couple flanks there too. It just didn't feel like Team Crimson could get their foothold in this game. They could not get their Tristana online enough to where she was running fights with all the chaos that preceded. They couldn't lock down the priority targets. And again, the zigs there from Scary Jerry couldn't really land all that damage and have the time to throw out all the spells in the backline before he was being threatened by diving targets from Calculus's side.
I'm glad that Dr. Calculus's team got to really flex their comfortability to show why they are, prospects that are of value. And not that the Combine hasn't shown that a lot, but these are the champions that made a lot of career for Dr. Calculus. His Rumble has been very good for a very long time. 5 Mini has been known as a Hoi player in the CCG organization for a lot of his time in Tier 3, and then if you watch any of the qualifiers, you know Sushi is very, very good on the Ashe with those positionings. You saw it in this game. So they went to a bit of comfort here to try and get that last win, accomplish the goal. But what a 2.5 weeks this has been. It has been awesome. But that will kind of wrap things up, Ferris. All we're really waiting for now is to see what 5 players will join the first 5 selected to make the trip to LA.
Yeah, we're going to see. The selection will, I assume, be announced very soon. So for the rest of these players in the Combine, they're now going to sit and wait and see if their name comes up. And you and I were talking about during that pause, even though not everyone's name will show up, not everyone can get this unique opportunity, the value that all of these players got from this Combine was immense. The coaches they got to talk to, even the people who are running lectures on media training and interviews and all that stuff. If you are an aspiring pro, these are important things to learn. So regardless of who gets chosen here, I think a lot of lessons and a lot of valuable tools were learned from these players to grow. And I think the future of the Tier 3 and Tier 2 scene, eventually maybe even the Tier 1 scene, is in pretty good hands after all of these games that we've witnessed here and that you and I have had the privilege of being able to call.
You all at home got pretty familiar with a lot of these names above us over this final day, and make sure to remember them because I believe a couple of these guys will be heading to LA. Like you heard Ferris mention, make sure to stay locked to the Seto.GG Twitter and the Blue Otter Twitter. I'm sure they'll announce it there. Of the whole group of 10 that will move to phase 2. Phase 2 is in LA, where they'll go through private training, private scrims, and then from there, Parth and company will select 5 to go boot camp in South Korea in phase number 3. That is the conclusion of the first phase. Big shout out to Parth, Seto.GG, Bully, Blue Otter, our producer Chippy behind the scenes, and of course, you, Ferris, for another fun broadcast. That will close it all out. 16 days of so many blocks of League of Legends will now move into the private stage form. So thank you to everyone that's been able to tune in. Hopefully you got the looks at the future of NA League of Legends talent. But for now, it's a sign off from us. Take care, and we'll see you when we see you.